top uncommitted talent in the United States and Canada, hundreds of college coaches. This is the final full day of the Prep Baseball Feature Games, and you are watching our Feature Games watch party live from LakePoint Sports. I'm Cory McCartney, coming to you from the Baseball Village, where, again, the top uncommitted players in this country and Canada as well, and they are all here for these college coaches and to put on absolute shows. We've got a great slate of games for you. We've got Massachusetts and New York, Texas and host Georgia, Wisconsin and Kansas all coming to you, and I will be joined along the way by a host of Prep Baseball scouting directors and more guests. So we've had an exciting last few days, and let's go ahead and take a look at that broadcast menu that we've got showing you again what we've got today, and then what we've got coming to you from the final day of the feature games as things get turned over to the juniors as they'll hand out their championships there. We've got the Platinum Division Championship coming to you tomorrow at 3:15. Again today, during our 12:30 window, you will see Texas, Georgia, Wisconsin, Kansas, and New York taking on Massachusetts. And it is, like always, a stage that is a showcase for big-time performances. And if you have been paying attention, that is not all that we are looking for this summer, as we have teamed up with Johnsonville in their push to keep the internet juicy. Let's go inside that mission to bring the positive back to the internet. Any and everyone is encouraged to share moments of positive actions, good sportsmanship, and selfless acts associated with those youth sports that we love. So if you're the one who spotted the activity, the one performing the act, or the recipient of the good deed, there's something in it for everyone. Johnsonville might just reward you for your behavior and or participation, so you can use that QR code that you see now on screen for more information on how to make a submission, or head on over to LakePointSports.com or any of our social media channels for more information. Now, the future games, an event for these players to truly go out and show what they're able to do in both the showcase environment and in the game. So what is it like for the players who are taking part in this? I did a Road to the Future Games series presented by Publix. This is Andrew Mahoney from Detroit Catholic Central taking us on his path back here to LakePoint Sports. We are on the road to the Future Games presented by Publix. Cory McCartney, joined by Prep Baseball Michigan's Adam Goodwin. Adam, Andrew Mahoney, a top 10 lefty in the Great Lakes State out of Detroit Catholic Central, will be part of the contingent down here at LakePoint Sports July 24th through 28th. What landed Mahoney a spot on the Michigan squad?
Yeah, no, he's one of the more talented guys in the 26 class. He's had a really good progress from last fall to the winter and into the spring season, and he had a couple up and downs, but he's really progressing well, and we're really happy with what we have. So he's been he's a key log in that CC rotation, and obviously plays on a really competitive summer circuit with the hit dogs, but really happy about him.
Also a guy who's already knows the environment, having been part of the junior feature games in 2022. How much does that play into it, just kind of knowing composure-wise that this guy can handle the moment?
Yeah, no, that's a big thing, with the experience. It's not, he won't be, wide-eyed. He's been there, done that a little bit, and he's not going to be shocked to see, the amount of college coaches that will be in attendance, and he should be pretty, calm and collected.
All right, Adam, appreciate it. Here is my conversation with Andrew Mahoney. So you were here for the junior feature games before, so you kind of understand everything that goes into the feature games. For those that don't know, tell us a little bit about what the atmosphere is like and how excited are you to be back?
Yeah, the atmosphere is it's really exciting, really loud, a lot of fun, and it feels really good to be back. And I remember when I was younger, I was watching the older guys. I looked up to them. Now I'm looking to be a role model for the younger guys in the junior future games.
How did you find out that you were coming back, and what was the reaction?
It started when I went to the TPG, and then I got my invite from Mr. Adam Goodwin at Prep Baseball Michigan, and I was just really excited, blessed, really honored.
One of the top lefty pitchers in the state of Michigan, but you got those exit velos into the 90s. You can get it done at the plate, get it done on the mound. Tell me a little bit about who you are as a pitcher and who you are as a position player.
Really, I'm just in my role, you know. They throw me out there in any situation. I do my best to handle it the best I can.
The future games also comes with that showcase element. Are you a showcase guy? Do you like the games better? Where do you kind of feel like you show out the most?
I'm more of an in-game kind of guy. You know, I need a batter in there really to get me going.
So tell me about influences as a player. I always love to know, like, when guys were coming up, who they got on YouTube and watched. Who were those guys that they kind of picked elements of their game and made it their own? Who were those guys for you?
My main guy was definitely Randy Johnson. Big unit. That's who I want to compare myself to and, like, resemble the most.
Is it more in the mechanics? Is it more in the way he handles himself on the mound?
Definitely his, like, attitude and the way he handles himself.
You seem like a low-key guy, though, but it gets pretty amped up when you're on the mound?
Oh, yeah. Whenever I'm on the mound, you know, I always go by you're a different person between the lines than off the lines. So off the lines, I'll just be, like, kind of relaxed, and then when I'm on the lines, it's go time, you know, just amped up, ready to play.
If you're amped up like that, how do you not let failure or something that doesn't go right ruin the outing or ruin the inning? How do you do that?
I just tell myself that there's always going to be another chance, and if something doesn't go the way that you want, then just bounce back and make a better pitch or do something better.
Well, I know you're not hitting anymore. You haven't done that for a while, so we're going to have you take us through your pitch grips and show us how you get done on the mound. Sound good?
Yep. So I got my four-seam fastball, just standard grip, really try to spin it down. Then I go two-seam, inside the seams, really try to push off of this finger and create that nice cut. And then slider, I go same grip, but really try to get it out, and I spin it down, so that's where it gets the rotations. And then I go curveball, really try to throw it off my fingertips, get it out there. And then change up, we go circle change grip, but without touching here. And then we just really try to pronate at that.
Andrew, man, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. We'll see you back here for the future games. And if you're not already, make sure you follow LakePoint Sports on all our social media channels. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You get so much more happening here on campus. It has been an exciting last few days here at the Prep Baseball Future Games, and if you think the scouts are the only ones taking in this action, well, it's been a show for absolutely everybody. Anna Bellinghausen was able to go out and kind of roam around the campus and find some luminaries across the baseball universe, and she got to catch up with Jim Thome, whose son Landon is playing for Illinois.
Alongside Hall of Famer Jim Thome, you're here supporting your son Landon. How exciting is it to be here at the Prep Baseball Future Games?
I mean, it's great. What a beautiful facility, you know, with all these talented kids that are obviously wanting to continue to just keep playing, right, and show their different sets of skills that they have. I love the vibe here. I love how it's been run. It's very organized, and just a wonderful day, you know, to be around it. I've always heard wonderful things about LakePoint, and now being here, I can see why it lives up to everything what people say.
So this ranks pretty high on your list.
It does. It does. You know, we've been fortunate, I think, as parents to be able to be a part of, you know, the travel ball, the tournament process, and it's just what a cool thing that they're doing for these young kids.
Well, Jim, I also know you help coach your son in baseball. Yeah. How special is that to get to share the field with your son?
I think it's what you live for, you know. You dream of, you know, playing a long time, as I was very fortunate, and then having kids, being retired, and then being around the game and giving back to the game is so important. You know, the high school kids they're like sponges. They soak everything up. They want to get better. They have this desire and this want to constantly improve. And I think as a ex-big league guy, sharing some of my knowledge and giving it back to them, it's just a joy.
How do you balance that with your son Landon too, and not trying to put that pressure on him of becoming a great baseball player and, filling in shoes and living up to expectations?
I would say the biggest thing is just he's my son first. We're buddies, and I'm always there as a voice if he needs it. But he's just the biggest compliment I would give him. He's a wonderful kid. He loves to play the game, and he cares about his teammates. Truly, cares about the fact that camaraderie, as we all have in baseball, being a part of that is so great.
Well, he's about to embark on his recruiting journey as well. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. These kids, again, they work so hard, and the biggest thing is just enjoy it. Don't have any expectations. Go out, be who you are, know thyself, play your game of who you are, and if it matches to what someone else thinks that you could do well for them, that's the cool thing.
I want to take you down memory lane.
Yeah.
If you put yourself in these high schooler shoes, what were you thinking? What would you ever have guessed you'd amount to everything in your career back then?
I would never have dreamed it. In high school, I grew up in the Midwest in Peoria, and just wanted to keep playing. Never really, obviously always wanted to go to college, and kind of just let each process take its course and not get too far ahead. And if you're good, as these kids are, it will all align the way it should in the universe.
And you might wound up a MLB Hall of Famer too.
If that's the journey, if not, I know one thing: he's going to be a wonderful kid. He's gonna just love it and enjoy every step.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, for your time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Great stuff there from Anna Bellinghausen, and you will hear from her all day long as we bring you her interviews from across the first few days of the Prep Baseball Feature Games. Now let's go ahead and give you a look at our Prep Baseball Watch Party control room view here. So you'll see all three fields that we'll have in action. Again, we're going to have Massachusetts and New York going on Field 9, Texas and Georgia on Field 10, and Wisconsin and Kansas will be coming to you from Field 11. We're going to take a quick break here in studio, be joined by Vinny Rattino as we get things going in this Kansas and Wisconsin matchup coming from the 2024 Prep Baseball Feature Games. Future Games Watch Party, now joined by Vinny Rattino, Scouting Director for Prep Baseball Wisconsin. Vinny, man, I know a busy time for you. Appreciate the time and stopping by.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited about this. It's been a great week. Team Wisconsin, both JFGs and Future Gamers and Senior Future Gamers were just absolutely awesome all week long, finishing up here on Saturday.
I know you're excited to talk about this arm that you guys got going today. Colton Semmelman out of Brookfield Central High School, 6'1", 176-pounder, #1 ranked lefty in Wisconsin, 4th overall, 24th at the position nationally. We got him right around 88.6 on the profile. I already see he's getting closer to that 90 number. What was your expectation for him coming into the event?
Yeah, so, I mean, we were just really excited to see what he was able to do. You see the delivery, you see how much he repeats that, so loose. You love the fact, what I personally love the fact about Colton Semmelman, he's got a baby face. I mean, this kid is going to continue to develop physically. I mean, he's got that quick, loose arm. He's got a ton of touch and feel, multiple pitches for strikes. It is just a starter's profile right here from the left side. These guys don't grow on trees. Yeah.
You guys were 9-1 winners over Missouri yesterday, a 3-2 win over Illinois on Thursday. Some big performances for you guys, especially yesterday as that one gets into play and going to bounce into right field for a base hit. Matthew O'Grady, 3 RBI yesterday. Sam Abramhausen doubles home 2, and Braden Olivo, we had here for the spring break experience for St. Thomas More.
Yep.
He and Caleb Lingdon both had RBI doubles. Then on the mound, Calvin Moreau, 3 strikeouts. Tell me about some of the individual performances and what you've liked so far.
Yeah, so really up and down the lineup, these guys continue to show off what they're able to do. They just have a ton of feel for the game. That's what I love most about these Wisconsin kids. Even though it's a cold weather state, they just continue to show how much feel for the game that they do have, the instincts that they have, even though, again, they're not able to play games year-round just because of the weather, but just they're able to get out all over the country and showcase what they're able to do. Cal Moreau is one of the top-ranked players in the state. Obviously, potentially going to be ranked number 1 in the state. He's a two-way guy. He was outstanding on the mound yesterday in the 2 innings of work that he had, up to 90. And then he can hit. This kid can hit and play shortstop. So it's a rare combination of that two-way guy that can play up the middle, defense, hit, and pitch on the mound. So it's a really impressive look. I mean, I could go on about a lot of these guys. And I'm sure that we'll get into it, but he was for sure. He's been for sure one of the bright spots. And again, there's been a lot of bright spots so far on this team, Wisconsin.
So mentioned Braden Olivo. Of course, we had, as I mentioned, him and his St. Thomas More team here this spring. Brother Kyle, Iowa signee, future game alum. Tell me a little bit about locking into a family like that and finding, so many branches there of guys that can get this game done in a really high level.
Yeah, so Joe Olivo, their dad, obviously he's done a phenomenal job of raising these kids. There's 4 boys. I believe it's 4 boys, and then the youngest is a girl. So poor girl is going to have quite a bit of protection for herself with those sons. But yeah, so it's Kyle, it's Braden, and then a couple other on their way as well. And so it's a baseball family. Joe Olivo runs Prospect Training Academy, PTA. It's one of the top programs, and there's a bunch of programs in Wisconsin, including Racine Hitters, GRB, ISA, and then a few more around the state. So Joe Olivo's the dad. He's the guy that runs that program in PTA. But yeah, they're just a baseball family. And the thing that stands out most about the Olivos, and then again, most of these Team Wisconsin kids, is how much they love to play the game. You're not going to get to your ceiling. You're not going to develop, especially being from a cold weather state, and grinding it out in the winter, in the cages, in the indoor facilities, unless you just absolutely love the game of baseball, Corey. So these guys do. The Olivos are a great example of that.
Jack Brenner, bat speed 81.2, exit velos getting right around the triple-digit marks. I ask you about that bat speed because as somebody obviously with your work with Valley Sports Wisconsin and the Brewers, the metric of bat speed, as that one's going to sail back to the backstop, has become integrated into StatCast. So I think it gives these players a different kind of an understanding. When they can kind of put themselves up numerically against a major league player. Obviously, there's a very big difference by a guy who gets 600 ABs, somebody who's doing it in a showcase. But how are you and your team kind of viewing that? And then as somebody who's seeing it at the major league level, how are you kind of putting all this into your picture of a player?
Well, I think the takeaway from that is that as you're a high school player and as you're trying to understand, like, where do I stand in the game of baseball? Where do I measure up and how do I measure up? And then you see that your bat speeds are comparable to some of major league players. Obviously, they're using aluminum bats, but and the big leaguers are using wood. So you're seeing, though, that, hey, look, my bat speed is pretty close, or my bat speed is right on par with some of these major league guys. So I just need to continue to get games played underneath my belt. The tools are there. And so I think that that's what you do look at as a scouting director, as a guy that is evaluating talent, as you see Colton just absolutely paint the corner right there with a fastball at 88 miles per hour. So I think that is the big takeaway, that you understand, you look for the tools, you look for the loud tools, but then you also understand, like, these guys definitely have tools to play at the highest level, and you see where college baseball is at right now.
Yep.
It is very, very close to the major league level. And so you're trying to get these guys to understand, like, hey, look, I can play at that level. But again, it is just understanding it's the tools, but then it's also the ability to just kind of tap into those tools as well with the skills.
See the strikeout there for Colton Semmelman to get the first out, and Misses on the outside corner there. Certainly a bit of a Wisconsin institution. Obviously playing for the Brewers, Wisconsin Racine native yourself. Tell me about that kind of mentality. There's a certain, I think anytime we talk about the northern states, those cold weather players, as you mentioned, I think they kind of come down here with a different kind of mileage on them when we get to this point of the season, and you're somebody who obviously understands that better than most.
Yeah, so I mean, playing in Wisconsin and from Wisconsin, you do have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, right? I mean, because again, you're facing some of these teams and some of these states and players that are from the warm weather states that are able to play year round, that are able to work and do their work outside, even in the winter months, and then you come down here and you try and prove like, hey, we can compete with you guys, and they certainly do. And so, yeah, so you're getting later into the summer, and I think at this point, these kids play so much baseball too from the age of 8, 9 years old at this point, that they do play and have so many games underneath their belt that you're getting into the late Julys and August, that these guys are still fresh. They're not burnt out from the game. And again, it does come down to the fact that they just love the game. That's what I try and continue to preach to these guys. It's like, look, you guys are going to continue to develop those skills, but you have to love the game, and you do see that from this Wisconsin group for sure.
Contact into the outfield. They're going to catch, throw into home in time. No one's going to be testing that arm. Still scoreless in Wisconsin and Kansas, and meanwhile we've got Texas and Georgia getting underway. Game at the top there was running a little bit late, so we're a little delayed on Massachusetts and New York as we continue with our Prep Baseball Future Games watch party, joined by Prep Baseball Wisconsin's Vinny Bertino. You guys had Snoop Dogg in the
We got to get Snoop down here, Corey. We do. We got to get him down here. I bet he'd come if we asked. No, it was cool to meet Snoop in the Brewers booth in the broadcast. I snapped a selfie of him as a run scores right here, Corey.
Yeah, it's going to be 1-0 now. Kansas leading Wisconsin in the top of the first inning.
You do see how much break that breaking ball does have on Colton Semmelman. I mean, again, it's a guy that just has a ton of feel, not only for the baseball, not only for the ability to get the ball to spots, but the ability to spin and break off some of those nasty breaking balls that he does have. The ceiling is so high for this kid. He did a great job over at GRB Sticks, is the program that he is with in Wisconsin, in developing Colton Semmelman. He really popped as of late. So this is a kid that I'm really excited about, really excited to see where he could go. I mean, potentially, we'll see. A couple years from now, we could be hearing his name called on draft day.
You guys have multiple kids who had junior feature games experience that came back down here. A little bit of pride watching those kind of kids progress to get to the point where you're like, yep, you're coming back down and you're doing it for the big show.
No, it really is. And that's what I love so much about the junior future games, is it gives those kids a little bit of a taste of what's to come, a little bit of a carrot to work towards in being invited down to the junior future games. And then again, they are a little bit more firmly on the radar of our staff going forward, just because they did play in front of us at the JFGs. And so I love the JFGs. Those kids are so hungry. They're so competitive. And so, yeah, you have a bunch of guys on this Wisconsin team that were in that group. So it's every single year these guys are trying to get, they get the little taste of the JFGs, and then they're trying to work towards the future games, which obviously is the big event for prep baseball.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people will look at that junior future games invite and just say to themselves, okay, I'm eventually going to get back there. I'm going to be in the future games. I think it's interesting to watch guys, maybe they don't get the 23 invite. They come back in 24 and realize there's nothing guaranteed in this, and it's all about how you develop and how you're able to kind of, move along as a player. And I think that to me is an interesting step on how the guy kind of responds to being that junior feature gamer. What fuel does he use that to get here again?
It's a great point, Corey, because nothing is guaranteed in this game. And if you don't get invited back to the future games, and then using that as fuel to say, hey, I'm going to prove these guys wrong, and I'm going to continue to develop, and I'm going to get committed to whatever school and goal there is to get committed to, and maybe get back to the senior future games, or even just continue just to work your butt off. So I love how this system is set up with prep baseball and how we rank players. And I continue to tell players, hey, look, if you're not where you want to be in the rankings, if you're even left off the rankings, use that as fuel. And I do see a bunch of players doing that. I wasn't on any list coming out of high school, none. So and I went to a Division III school, ended up playing 14 years professionally, parts of 5 seasons in the big league. So it's like, use that as fuel, continue to develop, and get towards where you can your ceiling. And I just love preaching that to players, and I see them respond to that. And so, yeah, if you're not where you want to be, especially here at the future games, continue to work and try and get better.
We got a wasp buzzing around in here. I would assume that's something you guys never, and maybe you guys get out to Oakland, maybe maybe you see something out there, but I don't think you're dealing with that too much in Milwaukee.
Not too much, especially in the winter months, as you see Colton just dial it up right there at 86.
So you mentioned your own path, obviously, Brewers, Marlins, Mets, and Indians, ultimately the MLB playing career. But for a guy that you mentioned not getting on lists during your developmental stages as a player, to have the senior feature games now, I'm sure that's something you kind of can truly understand where these guys are at. Maybe you're overlooked. Maybe you were a late bloomer in terms of the game. How did you kind of piecing that roster together for the guys that got invites for you? How did you approach that?
Yeah, so we took a look at some of the guys that were uncommitted and some of the guys that probably shouldn't be uncommitted, right? So, so we take a look at the names and see if they would fit. Rob Allison did a great job with the senior future games for the Upper Midwest and piecing that together, that roster together. And we added some guys there, and they had a really good showing. So you're talking about a Dean Staudaker, you're talking about a Josh Zeller, and you're talking about a bunch of the arms, Auden Pankinen and Jack Roventini. They both showed out exceptionally well. I'm missing a couple guys, and missing one of the righties that was just awesome today as well. So they just did a phenomenal job of just, again, getting those guys an opportunity to get looks, and some of these guys are going to get commitments out of that. And I love the senior future games and where that process is at for those players and also for prep baseball, because again, it's the opportunity to play with those bright lights on, and I love that about prep baseball. Is it puts those bright lights on the players that deserve it, and it puts those bright lights on players that is what you need to learn how to play in front of. When the bright lights are on, when those coaches are watching you, when those scouts are watching you. And I missed, of course, Jack Lutz. He's one of the top players in the 2025 class. I mentioned Staudaker, Zeller. Pankinen was absolutely phenomenal today. And Dylan Campo was the other arm that I failed to mention, who was really, really good. Cam St. John as well. He was up to 95 yesterday on the bump. He was up to 95. He's got a great arm. He's a two-way guy. He's got a hammer slider too. So those are the guys that we brought, and I think there's going to be some really positive things that are going to come out of this because they attended and performed well at the senior feature.
Yeah, I was talking to some Division I coaches today, and they said, I said, did you guys get down and get to see the seniors at all? And they said it's kind of weird for us because in our position we kind of already know who's coming within our 25. So we've seen a lot of lower level coaches down there, some community junior college coaches. I think there's opportunities at the next level. And I think that's maybe the biggest message and mission here is providing those guys with that chance.
Yeah, and again, those kids are as hungry as anybody. As we see Cal Moreau, again, one of the top-ranked players in the state of Wisconsin for 2026, and he's just tooled up out of his mind, a two-way guy.
Yeah, 6'6", 160.
Yeah, I mean, he hit a 94-mile-per-hour exit velo triple yesterday, first pitch of an at-bat against a pretty good fastball yesterday. So he's going to have a really bright future. But so it provides fuel for those guys, and it also gives them an opportunity to understand, like, what is a good fit for me? Is it that good, mid-major? Is it that developing program that I'm going to go ahead and get a chance to step in and perhaps and potentially compete for a lot of playing time right away? And I continue to harp that on players, is that try to find that. I mean, of course you have to go out, you have to earn it, you have to take it. But I continue to harp on that with players just because it is so valuable to actually play baseball. Does you no good to go to a program, right, that is a little bit over your skis and all of a sudden you get 40 at-bats for 4 years at a Power 5 or something like that.
And I think, too, with the transfer portal, it's like getting yourself in the door, proving you can play the game at a high level, and who knows where it ends up taking you.
No, that's a great point. Again, it's the guys that are, a little bit of a late bloomer physically, but then also, again, the more at-bats you get, maybe there's something that clicks right away with your timing, or it takes you a little while to figure something out with your timing, or if it's that pitcher that gets with a pitching coach at a certain program that teaches you that nasty slider or something like that, a little bit of a tweak to your delivery. So finding that right fit, getting into a program, and then, again, you just never know. right? I mean, you never know. You could be at a small mid-major, and then you go ahead and really perform, and you could end up getting drafted.
See Winston Alonso strike out, and then Chance Ruby ends up grounding out to get out of the inning. So we're through 1 in Kansas and Wisconsin. Kansas with a 1-0 lead. Meanwhile, Texas and Georgia are scoreless in the first. Vinny, man, I appreciate you spending an inning with us. We're going to take a quick break in studio, and we'll be back from our prep baseball watch party.
So outrage
no
is trending. Our feed's stirring us up, splitting us up. What if we came out from behind our walls and keyboards just for a sec and just go yard, front yard? Come out bagging, jumping, check on that Johnsonville feed. Let our individual flavors blend together. Yes, block nobody, block party. Keep it juicy. Just burgers? It's just boring. Get your sausage on and keep it juicy.
First one I picked up, I just liked it the best. And like I said, I tried a lot of different companies, a lot of different models, and I fell in love with Old Hickory for sure.
Appreciate Vinny Rottino stopping by. We are going to go back to our multi-view, and we're going to take a break in studio, and we've got another guest joining us shortly, so don't go anywhere. You are watching the Prep Baseball Feature Games Watch Party. Welcome back to the Prep Baseball Feature Games Watch Party. Sean Duncan back in for his third day of work with us in here. Get you up, I mean, if you were a relief pitcher, we'd have taxed you out already, but you keep coming out of the bullpen for us, and we got you for another set of games here.
Well, you know, I thought you liked me, Corey, and I just, it was an assumptive thought, but, you know, you're bringing me on after Vinny Rottino.
That's right.
The day before I came in after Chris Burke, both professional commentators, and I just always fumble my words. So It's kind of framing me up.
All right, well, we're gonna have you. You're gonna have you fix the cord on this, and then we're gonna have you pull the microphone closer to your face. That's why we're gonna make you professional. So pull this up. Just bend this thing right here. And we're gonna. Is it tangled on you? There we go. Yeah. Now pull this thing a little bit closer to your face.
All right.
It's pliable. See? It's pliable. There you go. Look at this. Now we got you.
Let's watch some baseball.
Now we're
Let's
ready.
go.
Now you're ready to roll. Massachusetts, New York up in the top left corner. They're going to get underway shortly. Texas and Georgia are scoreless in the second inning. Kansas and Wisconsin. Kansas with a 1-0 lead. You heard Vinny Rottino breaking down really nice arm for Wisconsin, getting things started there. This Texas-Georgia game, I think if you were looking through the rosters ahead of time and you wanted to pinpoint a game where you felt like, yeah, that's going to be the one I can't miss. I sort of feel like one when you have two of the top players. By the way, in the class of 2027 in this, and Lash Henderson and Caden Dawson, this felt like a can't-miss matchup.
No doubt. And coming out of the workout day, Team Texas was probably the most impressive workout day team, and they're 0-2 here. So that's the beauty of baseball. And Georgia, I missed that game last night, but apparently the Georgia-Florida game was, Shooter Hunt was telling me, was the greatest future game of all time.
It was wild. He had a grand slam home run in that one off the bat of Martinez, facing against Diego Becerra, one of the best arms here in the state of Georgia out of Creekview High School. So yeah, it was a late night showcase without question for those teams. I know we had some of our content creators out there were with them late night. So very quick turnaround for them. Quick turnaround for Texas and Georgia as they're back out here in the second inning. They're still scoreless. Again, Kansas, Wisconsin. Kansas leading 1-0. One skied back foul.
And we talked on it yesterday about how good the pitching has been velocity-wise, but really the storyline of this whole future games is, yeah, like you look up, every guy's 88 to 93, right? But offensively, these kids are turning this stuff around like it's no problem. So, and that's what Team Florida's been doing the first two games, is just smashing really, really good pitching.
Yeah, and they didn't necessarily come into this with a lot of names that really jumped off the page when you were looking at national rankings. I know Shooter Hunt and I have talked about it. It's kind of felt like, at least from a big picture standpoint, maybe a couple years where there's been a lull in talent in Florida before you get to like the Jacob Lombards and, you know, as we look down to the future. But man, they're putting up some big time offensive numbers so far in the future games.
Yeah, I think they send that. Like I was asking Caden Hatcher, our Florida scouting director, how are we going to be? And he's like, oh, we got some really good baseball players, not a bunch of tools. And then they go out and hammer Georgia and Texas. So
right now for Georgia, you are seeing Jack Richardson on the mound out of Marist School, 6'4", 200-pounder. Number 3 third baseman in Georgia, 30th overall, but he also gets up there, runs it up to 90 on the mound, along with a changeup and curveball. He's facing off against Texas right now. He's got Grayson Register at the plate. Had a chance to catch up with Trey Rangel before the game, and you talk about a guy who, great, charismatic kid, really firm and strong understanding of his pitch arsenal. He's got a curveball now, spin rate over 3,000, and he told me he really saw a change a year ago. He just made a real minute change to his curveball grip, and all of a sudden it went from an average pitch to one that's one of the top spin rates in the country. It's pretty remarkable stuff.
It really, and some of these tweaks are just so subtle, and how you change a little grip, you move your thumb down a little bit, a little less pressure on a finger, and yeah, I mean, certainly he's got elite stuff.
Kept off the board there in Texas and Georgia, still waiting on our first score there. New York and Massachusetts. Massach, as you see up there on the, that's how we'll refer to him here on out, as Massach. Taking on New York here shortly, as that one's going to roll, and then Kansas and Wisconsin, 1-0 the lead for Kansas. We're going to see who is on the mound for Texas as this one rolls along. I believe we're still going to see another inning out of Cooper Harris.
Kansas has been both Kansas and Wisconsin have been sneaky good. Wisconsin beat 2 really good ball clubs already. So, Wisconsin's no longer a little secret to a handful of schools who used to pop in there. They've been popping out a lot of high-level draft picks, but it's always still somewhat surprising when they come in and they steamroll Illinois and Missouri, which was a really good team too.
Yeah, they were 5-4 winners over Missouri on Thursday. Max Hamilton, 5 strikeouts over 2 innings. We had Max here playing for Building Champions this summer, and then Brady Stewart, another Building Champions player, had 2 hits, including a double and 3 RBI in Friday's 9-7 win over Illinois. So they brought certainly some big-time talent there. Cooper Harris is on the mound for Texas right now. Cooper out of Flower Mound, another powerhouse program. The 4th-ranked right-handed pitcher in Texas in the class, 18th overall, 43rd at the position nationally. We got him with a fastball at 88. Let's see what he's got as his last warm-up pitch.
Circling back to the Kansas, you said Max Hamilton. Didn't we give him a free Audi? Didn't he win it?
I believe that he did, yeah.
I think we gave him.
Yeah, and I hope he drove it here.
Yeah.
I'll be severely disappointed if Max didn't log some miles there on that machine, because we did hook him up.
Double play.
Reese and Durham at the plate right now for Georgia, facing off against Cooper Harris in that matchup between Georgia and Texas. Had some fun with Reeston earlier this summer. We did a live in-game talk back with him while he was playing shortstop for his GBRA Rays team. Swing and a miss.
Well, I think he has, Mr. Harris has his personal best. He's already up to 92, 90-92.
Yeah, Durham, by the way, at the plate, a 2023 feature gamer, is also a 2021 junior feature gamer. 2nd-ranked shortstop in Georgia, 19th in the nation at the position, 6'8", 960. Big personality for sure. A lot of fun kid to be around from Decula High School. This is a bittersweet day for you. There's so much buildup for the event, and then you have this last day of games. We'll obviously have the junior feature games tomorrow, and we'll end up crowning champions across those bracket winners. But is there a little bit of like, it's Christmas, you get excited, then all the presents are unwrapped, and then you get to kind of just be like, well, that happened.
I'll give you the short answer, no.
Okay.
No, yeah, there's so much planning that goes into this, and God bless Steve Nielsen, who's the mad scientist of orchestrating this Turkish flea market. These are long days for all the staff, right? Like, for many of us, you get here before 7 a.m. and the late game ends at midnight sometimes if there's weather. So, and then you got to go back and do, content or, wrap-ups or whatever. So, and then it's after 3 days of rinsing and repeating that, you're kind of tired. So, yeah. And so we're at the point of being really tired.
Yeah. At the plate right now for Georgia, Trevor Condon from Etowah High School. Last night he had a double and a triple in that matchup. Talk about a big-time player and living for big-time moments during the state championship game against Pope. He hit for the cycle across the 2 games, including a multi-RBI home run as they were able to take that championship. Used to be a Miami commit, now back on the market as the 9th-ranked player overall in Georgia, 2nd among all outfielders. He's 20th at the position nationally. Runs a 6.6 60. Also a running back on the football team. So this kid is just an absolute athlete. I believe he's wearing a microphone right now. One of my guys was going to mic Trevor up for this matchup, so sure we'll have some fun with him after this is over with.
And it's a good time to have a last name of Condon in the state of Georgia.
Very true, yep.
I wonder how many times he's been asked.
I'm sure many times.
Just say yes.
That's right.
Just say yes.
It's easier to say yes than it is to give them an explanation they don't want to hear. That's what, you see Paul McCartney, people say, I grew up, every teacher, like Paul, are you related to Paul? It was just easier after a while to just say, yes ma'am, yes sir. Because they stopped touring at that point, and obviously he's back on the road now, but nobody was asking me for anything. They just wanted that in the back of their minds. Condon make his trip down to first base. Is he able to work the count and get a one-out walk?
It didn't look like he wanted to walk.
No, I don't think he did.
Kind of tossed his bat in exasperation.
Yeah, again, put on a show last night as he was able to get 2 extra base hits, and he is now going to give way to Ashton Roach. Ashton Roach from Tallulah Falls High School, 5'11", 170-pounder, 7th-ranked outfielder in Georgia, 23rd overall. I know Hudson Graham and Ian Smith were really excited about this team. There were a lot of guys they had long histories with that they were wanting to put on this team and feeling like they were putting together a really strong crew. I know Caden Dawson told me yesterday, he said, this is a travel team. He said, the Bassett we've got here, this is the kind of squad you want to go to a tournament with.
No doubt. Why wouldn't you want to go to battle with the best players in the state?
Now we've got Ethan England at the plate for Georgia. Ethan from Cherokee Bluff, 12th ranked shortstop. It's in for a strike from Cooper Harris, 89. Kansas, meanwhile, has taken a 2-0 lead over Wisconsin. Being in the booth with me, Vinny probably didn't get to give him a nice pregame speech, so they're playing a little flat here to start things off, so hopefully he can change the tenor when he gets back into the dugout.
You really stole that. Yeah, they are playing a little bit more flat.
They are.
Thanks to you.
Yep. I'll take the blame there. Massachusetts and New York, meanwhile, are underway. See New York's throwing at the moment. This is Brady Mills. Brady Mills, primarily a catcher. We saw a guy who's primarily a catcher look pretty good yesterday when we had Mr. Clinking Beard. We got Brady Mills with a up around 86.
Got a new pitcher for Team Georgia on the mound. Reed Gaines. There you go. Thank you for
yeah, absolutely. I speak Georgian, so he's from Thomas County Central. He's at 88, so let's see what he runs it up to. It's 83.6 on that last warm-up. See Dion Cole in the foreground there. I mentioned Trevor Condon, state champion. Dion, one of his teammates at Etowah High School. And there's Caden Dawson. Oh, excuse me, that's not Caden Dawson. Caden Dawson was number 17. It's Ethan England. Reed Gaines. Do you know what town Reed Gaines lives in? I'm gonna see if you can. Let's see if you truly can speak Georgian. If I give you a team name, a school, a city name of Cairo in Georgia, how do you say that name?
Cairo.
Oh, good job. I like it.
I think I live in a bubble.
Well, yeah, that's a test. I think after you've lived in Georgia for a little while, they have a guy who walks around like the census takers, and they knock on your door and see if you can say Decula, if you can say Cairo. You know.
Well, how else would you pronounce that?
Cairo.
Cairo. Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Which is actually how you really say it. So you were tested, and it is Cairo, Georgia, and you failed the test.
Oh, is it? It really is Cairo?
It is Cairo.
Oh.
So you do not speak Georgian. You have failed our test here.
If I needed another reason to feel bad about myself, I just found it. So thank you very much.
It's like the syrup, Cairo syrup. Their team name is the Syrup Makers. They are literally the Cairo Syrup Makers is the high school.
No kidding.
Yep.
Well, you just learned me something.
That's
there,
right.
Cory.
Yep. Just wrap up our Georgia tourism portion of the broadcast.
My grandma used to always tell me it's a sorry day when you don't learn something new. So thank you for blessing me with that nugget.
That's right. We've got at the plate right now is Cole Koninger for Texas. He's going to be followed by Jalen Walker and Graham Charbot. Then comes Lash Henderson.
Gaines just painted that one on the outer edge for a backwards K, the 89. I round up. I hope you don't.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind. Yep. Getting his Van Gogh on as he gets that first K of the day.
Get your Van Gogh on.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to get my Van Gogh on and cut one of my ears off.
Well, that's a commitment.
It's a fashion statement.
There you go. This is Jalen Walker. With one down for Texas, facing off against Georgia. Kansas, meanwhile, up 2-0 over Wisconsin. Scoreless between New York and Massachusetts, so we roll along to the bottom of the first inning. See what Gaines has in store here in a 2-0. Gonna bounce away.
Got to green light him. 3-0.
Yeah, nobody's coming to the feature games to walk. He's going to do so nonetheless. Juan Soto's at least made walks cool, so maybe it's a little bit better now. You know, the guys don't necessarily want to stay in there and fight through the AB in an environment like this. They want to show that they can get their Soto on.
Get your Soto on. Looks like Gaines is just missing a little to the glove side on most of his pitches.
You know, he's got Graham Charbot now.
Good hack. I am really impressed, and I'm not just sitting here trying to throw you some empty compliments here, but like you are spot on all these pronunciations. Like, got him.
I wondered if we were going to see Jalen Walker take off for second base, a speedy outfielder, and they do indeed get him. So nice job nailing him behind the plate. Well, you got to honestly, a lot of times I'll go over to the dugouts or the batting cages before game and ask about some of the maybe less run-of-the-mill pronunciations.
Graham Charbonneau, is that?
Charbonneau.
Charbonneau. Is he related to Joe Charbonneau? Did you ask him that?
I did not.
You know who Joe Charbonneau is?
I don't know.
No? He used to, he was Rookie of the Year probably in 1970 maybe. Really weird dude who used to open bottles with his teeth and, and stuff like that.
That's a dentist's favorite patient.
Yeah.
Well, Graham from Kingwood High School, 5th-ranked outfielder in Texas, 44th overall, went to 6'9", 560, and now he's making his way down to first base. And here comes Lash Henderson. Lash, of course, the #1 player in the class of 2027. If you joined us during our workout watch party on Wednesday, Lash was in here for about 10-15 minutes with us in the studio. Had a lot of fun with Lash. Ran a 6'5", 360. Grip strength of 177 on one side, 180 on the other. I told him he was just doing a disservice to these college coaches, showing them a player they're going to have to wait an entire calendar year to get in contact with.
Note to self: don't shake hands with him.
I did. It's firm but soft. The handshake's firm but soft. So I came back unscathed in my time with Lash Henderson as he ropes a single, 86-6 off the bat.
Team Texas got something cooking here. We have the great Brandon Goens waiting in the wings, our Texas scouting director, and I know he's hoping to get on the board first because he can't go back to the great state of Texas without a dub.
We'll at least play through this inning here on Texas and Georgia before making our pitching change in studio. We're on the top of the third there. 2 on, 2 out, 1-0 count. See the camera shaking a little bit. That's the crowd noise. When you play like NCAA college football 25 and you're in a hostile environment, and it starts the screen starts to shake and the controller starts to shake.
Oh,
So
really?
we've added that to our broadcast. So this is pressure. You see as the screens kind of start to shake a little bit. We've added it's almost like those when you go to the movie and you sit there and the seat rumbles, like when you're watching Twisters, the new one. That's what that does. And we got our friend the Wasp back here in studio again.
I just saw how big it is. I think it has some. It's flying around with some genitalia.
Well,
it's one bigger. Is that think your own bigger? And
I took his cousin down yesterday as Brandon Geyer was waiting to join me to talk about Major League Mindset.
Oh, so
I
he's
killed
out
one.
for blood then.
Yeah, he knows. He's heard tales. I was gonna let the other one live to go back and tell his friends so they wouldn't
Pin 'em
come
up.
back. But yeah,
You got to kill him and
That's
then
right.
put him up and say, tell your friends.
that's right. Didn't do my job,
Yeah.
so they're coming back for more.
He's sitting in a sniper tower.
He sure is.
Yeah. All right, back to baseball.
2-2 count in Texas and Georgia. A dribbler gets past the outstretched glove at shortstop, and we're going to have a run score. It's going to make it 1-0. Texas over Georgia. Takes off on the throw. Going to be in time and advance to second and third as Lash Henderson finds himself on the hot corner.
All right, they're on the board.
So Texas has the lead. Trent Velade comes through, and here is Jeffrey Claycomb.
.6'1", 216-pound catcher, third baseman from Rowlett High School.
Skies that one into right field on the run. Catches that for the third out, but not before Texas takes a 1-0 lead there. Meanwhile, Kansas has a 4-0 lead on Wisconsin as we've got some breaks in the action. So we'll take a quick break here. Brandon Goens going to join us from Prep Baseball Texas. Sean Duncan, are you coming back? Are we going to have some more of you? All right.
You got to promise me that wasp is going to be gone.
All right. Well, Brandon's probably got.
He's eyeing me. He's got a very suspicious look in his eye.
They breed even bigger insects in Texas, so I'm sure Brandon's probably got some remedies for us. So we'll take a quick break in studio. Be joined by Prep Baseball Texas' Brandon Goens.
Next. Next. Stop.
You got it?
No. Keep going.
Again.
Next. Next.
If you don't pick one.
Oh, you have time. Am I keeping you from your job? Next. I don't even know where I am anymore. Stop.
Do we finally have it?
Let's go back to the beginning.
Are you
Your
joking?
electric future customized. The fully electric Audi Q4 e-tron.
Making every second count. That is how I live. And this is how I hydrate. Body Armor Sport Water. Water for the athlete in all of us.
This is ready to go online. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. How about the best network imaginable? Let's invent that.
That's what we do here.
Quick survey. Who wants their internet to work pretty much everywhere?
And it needs to run smooth, like super smooth.
Hey, should you be drinking that?
It's decaf.
Because we're busy women.
We don't have time for lag or buffering. Who doesn't want internet that helps AI do your homework even faster?
Come again?
Sorry, what was that?
Introducing the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now.
Now joined in studio by Prep Baseball Texas is Brandon Goens. Brandon, appreciate it coming by, man. You guys got a 1-0 lead on Georgia right now. Knew there was no way you guys were going to come out of here without a fight after losing 11-3 to Florida on Thursday, 7-4 to Tennessee on Friday. They really gave you guys like the toughest group of teams, I think, when you start stacking up talent.
Yeah, it's been blast, but that's what we want, and it's been fun. I've seen some Instagram posts of welcome to the SEC for us Texans, which we're all here for, but I mean, that's what it's all about, best on best, and it's good for these kids.
Ball hits off the pitcher there in Texas and Georgia, and Georgia's going to have a base runner to start things off. Talk about the kids that you brought. Ashton Ballou and Lawson Behan, both homer on Thursday. Lucas Naraki has had a great run, doubled in that game. Also doubles again on Friday. Jalen Walker drove in a couple runs. Offensively, you guys have had some guys that have stepped up.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say Naraki's had the best ABs, some of the best ABs all week consistently. And he's a twitched up left guy who's actually going to throw the last inning of this game, and you'll probably see him up to 90-91 from the left side with a high spin slider. And then Behan and Ballou I brought 5 shortstops, and they're just all kind of playing all over the infield, and very athletic class in Texas at the shortstop position, and they can swing it a little bit too.
Cooper Harris on the mound out of Flower Mound right now. We had him on 88. We've seen him go well north of that in this outing. You have to be pretty happy about a guy who shows up, sees all those scouts behind it, and kind of lives up to the moment.
Yeah, well, before I walked down here, I told a handful of coaches that this is probably the one. Like, he's not quite as famous as some of the other kids I brought on the roster, but he went to Powerhouse Flower Mound this past year as their number 3. Behind TCU and Texas State commit. He'll be their 1 next year, and he's been up to 93 this summer, and he's got a little toughness and something about him as well.
Take a look at who's at the plate right now. Malachi Washington's up for Georgia as they're trying to get themselves back into this one, trailing 1-0 to Texas in the bottom of the 3rd inning. During a Coffee and Curveballs episode that we did, you told Shooter Hunt and myself that you think this 2026 class in Texas could rival a 2019 class that included Bobby Witt Jr. Obviously, you got Grady Emerson, who's going to be a prep baseball All-American coming down to Miami at the top there. Trey Rangel, the number 3 player in the state, number 1 righty, number 2 righty in the nation. Obviously, you're able to bring Trey here. We'll see Grady in September in Miami. Talk a little bit about that class and just how deep the 26s are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's up the middle and on the mound. Really, really talented and athletic. So obviously Emerson, who has been famous for a while, and I was lucky enough to coach Bobby for a handful of years, and Grady can play short and he impact the game like he did at the similar age. And then guys like Chandler Hart, who hasn't been throwing this year because he's shut down a little bit, but 6'6" body and an easy mover down the mound, who's one of our top-ranked players in the country. And then Rangel and Koninger, who are here, Koninger and Behan, a handful of these guys will probably see a bump. Somebody like Cooper Harris, we probably have underranked right now. And it's just the athletes in the state in that class that usually the athletes continue to get better. And I think in 2 or 3 years when we look up, we're going to be this class is going to be pretty special.
You mentioned Cole Koninger out of Keller High School, 3rd-ranked shortstop in Texas, 7th overall. He's 12th at the position nationally. Talk about guys nationally. Lash Henderson had Lash in here during Wednesday's broadcast, hung out with him for a little while. Number 1 player in the class of 2027. You talk about guys with a wild level of maturity and able to kind of handle the pressure and handle everything that comes with it. I don't know that I've been around many guys who seem to kind of just take that on and just kind of take it all in stride and just do their thing like Lash Henderson does.
He is so, for one, he's a great kid. Let's talk about, but the maturity level of Lash and just understanding his situation and who he is and embracing it. Like, he doesn't run from it. He puts the work in. He grinds. He's got a great high school coach in James Villade, whose son, Trent, is actually in our lineup, and he plays for him in high school. And he's got a great support system, and it really is fun to talk to Lash and see how special the kid is.
And it's funny too, because his dad, Michael, being a Big 12 football official, he told me he's got a different kind of approach when it comes to umpires, and when guys are getting on, he's like, guys, like, I understand, like, give him a break, and he kind of just approaches it from a different angle.
Lash has an intensity about what he can control, but he's very good about not letting a moment define him, and he has a plan with what he's trying to accomplish.
I believe we're going to be back at the top of the order for Texas here. We'll have Jake Ernest start things off, followed by Dylan Four.
And real quick on both of those kids, those are probably 2 of the more underrated kids I have on the roster, and I'm not sure there's been two guys outside of Naraki that have better ABs than those two. They play for a great Summer Oregon 12, well coached, and Ernest has probably had the best ABs consistently all week. So it's fun when some of the guys that don't quite have all the hype that half the roster has really overperforms.
Yeah, that's something I like to talk to you guys about is like when you put your teams together, it's very easy to kind of go through those state and national rankings.
Right,
You'd be like, give me that guy, give me that guy, give me that guy. But when you see that kind of performances, he's going to take extra bases, going to
2 doubles today.
Hold up at second base. But when you see guys like that, like Ernest, that are able to come and Fuller that are able to come through and, you know, maybe not have that kind of national recognition, but leave here as somebody that a coach has to circle, that's got to be a rewarding experience.
Oh, I would say that's probably more rewarding. Last night we had a Grayson Register who threw great for us, and you know, he's from Midland, Texas, which is not easy to get to. It's out west, and he absolutely dominated, and everybody knows who Grayson Register is now, and that is an awesome thing. And with Texas being so big, like, if you don't live in Dallas, Houston, or some of these guys, it takes a while for them to get seen. So we try to bring guys from all over the state and show them off.
How daunting is it then for you guys to kind of own the state of Texas? I talked to Les Lukács about this in California. It's like they obviously divvy things up where they've got, you know, guy in the north, guy in the south. But for, you know, you mentioning obviously the metro areas are a little bit easier to control, but getting to those further reaches, how are you guys able to pull this off?
A lot of hotel nights. I hired a guy this spring named Max Semler, who's been a 35-year area scout and pro ball, so getting his experience and expertise has been awesome. So he is going to handle North Texas moving forward, and I am going to move to Houston, and I'm going to do that. But I also like going out, and I'll be out to Midland to probably watch Grayson. I always go out to East Texas, and so the good thing is those preseason tournaments, and our high school season is longer than anybody else's in the countries. I think ours is 6 months long. So I have 20 weeks to navigate the state. So
if you notice Trey Rangel as he fouls that one back, when he stepped into the box, he tapped it a couple times, then drew a bit of a half circle, and he told me that's like his cue. That's where he wants his bat path to be, because he says he has more of a scissor type swing, so he tries to kind of draw that mentally. So he says that's where I want my bat path to go. So he's able to get a 1-1 count here. Mentioned he's one of the top right-handed pitchers in the nation, but certainly gets it done position-wise as well.
He can talk about his bat path, but everybody's going to want to talk about his slider on August 1st.
Yeah, 3,000 RPMs on that curveball that he throws. And he told me you really saw a change in it about a year ago when he gets that one past the
By the way, anytime I talk about his hitting, he gets a barrel.
There you go.
So,
well, he's got himself one, but he said he just made a small change to the grip on his curveball, and he showed me just the finger placement. It was kind of minute, but it ends up getting him just ridiculous spin.
I don't know if he said it, but I'm pretty sure that happened on his flat ground here last year before his outing, because we tweaked it. And
wow,
the spin rate went
okay.
up. I'm not going to share that, but I'm pretty sure that's what because the next day it was electric. So. I think it was about a year ago he made that change, and he's right. It's the sharpness and the command of it's really improved.
Yeah, talk about Lash Henderson and obviously the influence of his dad on officials. With his dad, Trey Rangel's Dan Rudy, being a football coach at the Colony, you know, I told him, look, guys are watching how you perform here on the field. They're also watching your demeanor, what kind of a teammate you are, and he said that's something him and his dad talk about all the time, is that there's so much more than what happens physically on the field, and kind of being that person that people look to. He's obviously has a guy and a dad that's in a football coach that's showing him how to get that done.
Absolutely, and on top of that, he's got that football competitiveness in him too, which is invaluable. And I'm sure it's been talked about in this broadcast this week, but with the new rules that have come in, like the little things matter so much more. So how you carry yourself on the field, off the field.
Yep.
Talk to people, like that stuff matters so much more now than it ever has.
Ashton Ballou at the plate now. Mentioned him hitting a bomb on the first day of the feature games. Throw down. Got him at third.
I think he called him safe. He did.
Okay, all right. Going to have a stolen base there. That much closer to another run for Texas. That was a little bit dicey,
close,
but yeah. All right, but Ashton Blue with a chance now to cash in and extend this lead for Texas. Again, up 2-0 over Georgia in the top of the 4th inning.
Which we need. The Georgia lineup is pretty explosive, to say the least.
Yeah, this was, as I was mentioning to Sean Duncan, this is a group of guys that Hudson Graham has watched progress from the junior feature games ranks. A lot of these guys were on the first team that he put together. I'm sure when he comes along later, he's going to talk about that. But these were guys that he's had long relationships with, and he's been chomping at the bit to get them all out there and get see what they can do at this level.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun to watch.
So we mentioned Lucas Nowroski and what he's been able to do with the plate. Another chance here as he's got multiple runners on.
He's not the biggest kid stature-wise. He's 5'10", 5'11", but there's not a ballpark he can't leave the yard with. He's got some of the biggest juice on this squad that I brought down.
Bat speed of 81.3 at 5'11", 180 pounds. That's absolute lightning in that bat as he puts that one into right field. Here comes one run. Let's see if he's going to get another one for Texas as they're up 3-0. Throw is not going to be in time. Make it 4-zip for Texas in the 4th.
Nice to see us have a big inning. It's been tough for us to come by those this weekend. A lot of good arms out here.
Yeah, I think obviously when we talk about the changes and how it's enabled so many players to be here that wouldn't be here before, I think you're maybe seeing that in the pitching side of it more so than you would have in the past.
I think so, especially for us. I would say is the velos are definitely, I think, higher. I would also say maybe the strike throwing is a little less this year because the guys got the velo and they're reaching for that a little bit more. But yeah, this year in Texas, it was a totally different year selecting this team the past years.
You only had a collision in the outfield there in Texas and Georgia.
And yeah, nice play avoiding traffic there. But yeah, it was a lot different. Last year, I think in our top 50, I had one uncommitted kid at this time.
Wow.
And this year, I had over 30. So it's just a lot different. Just a whole different game.
Well, it's certainly been to the benefit of everybody here for the prep baseball feature games. And you think about a year from now, there won't be anybody committed, so it'll be an even more elevated.
We have 4 27s in the Texas class right now committed. That's all.
Wow.
So it'll be cool to see that team coming out here next year and hopefully get Lash out here for the 3rd time because he was a JFG-er as
sure
well.
Was.
That was my first feature games actually.
So Keon Johnson roving there playing short for Georgia.
He's talking about fun to watch. Keon Johnson.
Yeah, Keon, we've had Keon here for years, and I talk about maturity. I remember talking to Keon as an 8th grader, and I just could not believe the conversation. He was already #1 player in the state of Georgia. There was a Georgia showcase, and the event started at 9 a.m. He got here an hour before the event started, driving from Macon, which is an hour-and-a-half drive, because he wanted to just get in the cage and take some swings before it started. And just, to have that drive, have that understanding, and have that when you're already the #1 player in your state. I told his mom, I was like, that's an impressive kid.
100%. The special ones know it's not just the time in between the lines, it's the time leading up to it and after it too.
Jax Robinson now at the plate for Texas as they lead 5-0 over Georgia. Georgia bat's going to have some work to do. Jax from Waxahachie? Waxahachie. Yeah, we're all over the place on this one. The 7th-ranked catcher in Texas.
One of the sweeter swings on the squad this year.
Pop time down to 185 along with that 82 catcher velo. Sent that back foul.
Yeah, he's had a really good spring and summer, and in some big tournaments he's come up big and hit multiple home runs this year. And there's still some things to tighten up defensively, but at the plate he really profiles as a middle order type bat.
You mentioned how long the high school season is in the state of Texas, and talking to some of these, oh man, he just gets all over that one, skies that one into right field, but not going to have enough.
Got us a run, maybe.
Taking off for home. The throw is almost there. Bounces away, though. It's going to make it 6-0 for Texas. Just keep piling it on as there's just one out in the top of the 4th. We're going to roll the inning, though. Texas, though, comfortably ahead of Georgia as that one's moving along. Meanwhile, Kansas leads 6-0 over Wisconsin, and New York has a 1-0 lead over Massachusetts. But I've talked to so many of the guys here in the state of Georgia that obviously, just like in Texas, we can have a travel season that can last almost the entirety of the year.
Yep.
But by the time we get to this point of the season, guys have played nearly some of them 100 games. Like, I mean, how do you guys kind of balance that with the use of the arms when you get to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my first year, I was new. I let some arms talk me into 3 innings potentially. This year, we're like 2, go air it out, don't think about it, because most of them, you're right. Like Cooper Harris goes to Flower Mountain High School. Like some of the seniors ahead of him this year, they had starts in 3 tournament games, 7 district starts, and then if you make it to the state tournament like them, that's another 6. So you're 16 starts in, going 5 to 6 to 7 innings. Like you're almost a 90 innings before you even get to the summer. Like somebody like Dason Hill, who we all know. I think he threw 78 innings this year on the way to Grapevine winning a state title. So it's a lot in Texas. But the rules they may be splitting up the state titles and shortening it a little bit, which for the health of their arms, it's probably a good thing.
Aiden Shreve now taking the mound for Texas. We got him already at 90 with the fastball. He's got a changeup 79, curveball 75 to 78, and a slider up to 77.
Projectable. He was one of the later arms I brought. He went to Texas A&M for one of our top prospect games, and he's shown really, really well. And you talking about like looks the part. That's a nice 6'4", 6'5" frame and broad shoulders. It's a lot to dream on.
Yeah, you mentioned that the rigors of that high school season and when the travel season. I imagine some of these guys who get drafted end up going to the minors, and they're like, "This is all I got to do."
Oh,
it's got to feel like a relief.
Well, and like we're talking about Grayson Register earlier, and like Midland, some of their district games. If you go out of Dallas and Houston, and you get out west and east, you may have a 2 or 3 hour drive just to play a district game.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a long season. Our high school tournaments to start the season. Like there's teams that play 6 games in 3 days, 3 weeks in a row. So we're 18 games in after 21 days.
Yeah, those bus rides in the minor leagues got to feel almost like a relief, I would imagine.
It's a nice breaking ball from Aiden to start.
We've got at the plate for Georgia right now. This is going to be Dion Cole. Dion from state champion Etowah High School. Dion, one of the top-ranked players in the class of 2026, comes into this one as listed as the 3rd-ranked player, top-ranked outfielder in the nation. We've had exit velos around 104, 105 from Dion this summer, so he's been playing here at LakePoint Sports for years and years with a number of different travel teams and Etowah as well.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of those famous ones. Like he's a.
Yeah.
We've known Dion for quite a while. Even in Texas, I've known who Dion was for quite a while.
Well, my wife was his elementary art teacher.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I've literally known Dion for a very, very long time as he goes down on strikes. Yep.
I don't know his art skills, but I know he can hit a little
well,
bit.
my wife has a picture that she showed me on her phone of Dion holding a piece of art when he was in kindergarten. And I said, you save that for 2 years when he gets drafted and then roll that out on social media that day, and that'll be fun. That's right. Yep. Go from Dion Cole to Caden Dawson. You talk about top players in the class of 2027. This is the #1 player in Georgia.
It's pretty cool to have the 2 top players in their state on the 27 in this game going against each other.
Yeah, how did you guys kind of approach that? Because I'm sure you could take and you could just look at it and say, you know, there's all these kids in the state of Texas. There are 26s. I want to get as many of them in front of college coaches as we can and not give a Lash Henderson an opportunity to be here. How do you guys approach that?
For me, the way I went about it is the first thing I did was college feedback, and they all said predominantly 26s. And then, so what I do is I try to find one underclassman a year that is obviously going to be one of our highly rated kids, and just I want to have a spokesperson for it for the following year. So last year, Rangel was my underclassmen, and this year I brought Lash, and so I try to bring one guy a year just so somebody the following year has had the experience.
It's a good guy to have as your spokesperson, somebody that's,
Yeah, I'd be I've been lucky the last 2 years with Rangel and Henderson to be the two young guys I chose.
You mentioned Keon Johnson. We got him waiting there in the on-deck circle.
That video that Shooter posted of him last night was fun.
He is a special talent for sure. Caden has kind of shut it down a little bit. He was telling me a couple days ago on his running. He's actually been playing on a tweaked ankle for the last couple months. So he did not run the 60 here during workout day. So if he puts one on the ground, I'm not sure how much we're going to see him trucking down the line to try to beat it out. But he's obviously just getting things started. He could be back here for another future games next year.
It's a really good AB he's had.
He goes down on strikes.
That was a really nice off-speed pitch in that count from Aiden.
Georgia trying to cobble something together. Quickly find themselves down 6-0 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. And here comes First Presbyterian Days Keon Johnson. Keon, of course, the #1 player in Georgia in 2026, 6'2", 190-pounder. To charge into this one, sends it into the outfield. Camera, unfortunately, not going to.
He got down.
Yep, not going to see the camera cut. AI, we have AI cameras, and we know AI isn't always perfect.
That one got in. I just showed the type of bat speed and strength he is. That ball got in on him a little bit, and he still had the ability to get it out there for a hit.
Got Martin Scheller now at the plate for Georgia. Scheller from Marist School, 6'2", 200-pounder. Always got the really long eye black. He was getting his uniform on. I said, the money's on you, being the most swagged-out guy on this Georgia roster. He said, oh, I've got that covered.
Oh, I don't know. Keon Johnson with that, with the shin guard and the pink. He looked pretty good in that on-deck circle to start the game.
You talk about a guy who you ask somebody his favorite current player and favorite former player, and allows you to kind of get an opinion on a guy's mentality. His favorite current player, Martin Scheller, is Trevor Bauer. Okay. His current favorite all-time player is Barry Bonds. It's like, okay, there's a little attitude to those two picks. Yeah.
Self-assured.
Yep, absolutely. But he's a guy who's got bat speed over 100 miles an hour. Excuse me, he's got exit velos over 100 miles an hour. He's got a bat speed over 100 miles an hour. We're talking about something insane, but he's got bat speed around 79.1. Taken off in there. Got him at second.
Claycomb Jeffrey has become one of probably the best catch and throw guy in the state for his class. It's a pretty elite transfer.
So Texas continues to lead 6-0 over Georgia. Kansas up 6-0 over Wisconsin. It is 2-1 Massachusetts over New York. So you've been here many times, so we've talked about this a few times in the broadcast, but the new fields, what was your reaction when you stepped onto them?
Loved them, actually. When I first saw them, I was always a big fan of the dark. And so right when it happened, I was like, all right, just wait till I get out there. But right when I think it looks great. And just the surface overall, it's played great. And, I mean, we had a lot of rain with the workout night, the end of it, and we had the early time, and it played perfectly. So the mounds, I love, and especially on what they did with the bullpens, the attention to detail, putting the rubber to hold those up long term. I think they've covered every area.
Yeah, Geosurfaces did a great job, and I've been telling everybody the most remarkable thing is in late December, right before Christmas, they started taking these down to the bare bones, down to the concrete. Managed to get it all done by mid-February when we had a high school tournament there. The turnaround was remarkable if they were able to pull it off in time.
It looks great because turf is pretty much at 90% of the high schools in Texas right now. So, but nothing beats the LakePoint turf in the fields, especially with the backdrop.
Sebastian Walsh is on the mound right now for Georgia at a Denmark high school. Fastball up around 86 on the profile. See what he pops here. I was talking to Trey Rangel about this, that future games adrenaline rush when you get on the mound. And he said, obviously, he knew a year ago going into it what it was going to be like. Obviously, this time it's a little bit different because, you know, what it means for them with what comes in the next couple days. He said he's been up to 94. He was up to 93, I think, in his outing on Thursday. But it's real, especially when you have those scouts and that growing crowd behind the home plate.
100%. So Bryce Krennick, who threw 2 great innings for us last night against Tennessee to start it off, he comes off the mound after the first, and he said, I can feel my heartbeat through my chest right now.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's really an environment and experience unlike anything else. So many of these guys are used to having scouts around, but I don't think anybody's used to just a sea of them like you're going to have here.
No, well, when you have pretty much every Omaha team from Omaha this summer has 3 coaches here. It's not just one; it's 3 from every big school here getting every field, and just it's nothing's like it.
I had Chris Burke from ESPN and SEC Network in studio on Thursday, and we were talking about Tennessee and them, him being a Tennessee guy, them getting back to the top of the college baseball universe, and it just kind of this look. Tony Vitello is the most recognizable guy in the sport when he walks around here. Everybody knows him. One of the Ohio players told me he got a little starstruck when you seen him, and Chris said, "Look, the thing with Tennessee is they have 4 guys here. Are you willing to put in the work and the commitment that they're willing to if you're going to catch up with them?"
Yeah, I mean, and it starts at the top, 4 guys, and Coach Vitello, no one, he's right there in the front row for 8 hours watching every pitch or walking on his AirPods talking to what they're doing.
Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that.
Yeah. I finally got a couple minutes without the AirPods in today, and I didn't know what to do with myself.
There is Cole Koninger. You were talking about a guy making a name for himself, and here's the 7th-ranked player in Texas as he puts that on the ground, 94.5 off the bat, and he's going to find himself at first base with a 1-out single.
He had a 99 single last night. Pitched a clean 1 inning today. I think pitching's going to be a secondary thing. Shortstop, I think, is his future for sure, but he also has got a pretty electric arm.
Let me ask you, so, okay, a guy who does both things really well. No one's thinking that every two-way player is going to be Shohei Ohtani, but I think when you look at Jack Caglione and guys who are getting now that opportunity, a guy who gets drafted as a two-way player, do you think that's going to make more guys, when they look at their college choice, view that differently, or is the message still look, the best opportunity for you at your best position should be your approach?
I think the answer, everybody's different. There's freak athletes out there, like Brandon McKay a couple years ago, and also what position are you playing? And Cags and McKay, they're first baseman, not as much throwing, so obviously it's a little easier to manage the arm. But I would say also what could start that is, we're not going to be able to carry 40, 50 guys on a college roster. So to having two-way guys, those may become valuable too. So there may be more colleges that are more into it also.
I think there's been some coaches who have had a little bit of resistance to it. I think there's still some old school coaches who don't want to do that.
Doubt.
And I don't know if some of the guys, you talk about the extra work that goes into the fact that if you're going to go pitch, you don't just get to go do your one thing. You're working with both groups, and sometimes having to do that extra work on your own. I think that's an underrated element of it as well.
You have to be a master of your time management, especially because it's not just doing the work; it's taking care of your body after the fact.
Big swing and a miss. Goes down on strikes. There's now 2 down. Again, Texas leading 6-0. And maybe that's when you see guys who want to prove that they can be a two-way. Go do it somewhere else. Yeah. Get yourself into the portal, then think about Power 5.
I think that's going to be the play for a whole lot of people now. Even if just a hitter or a pitcher, it's go prove myself. And then if the opportunity arises, we can look at a bigger conference.
So the conversations you've had with coaches, we've seen a lot of, I told this a couple days ago. I had a coach tell me, look, if I can get a kid who has seen 90 every day, opposed to a kid who sees 90 at the plate maybe once or twice a month, where do you think my decision is going to go when it comes to building out my roster? So when you're in your conversations with coaches, how are they kind of balancing the portal with a kid that they're trying to recruit at the high school level?
Yeah, I think every program's a little different. The big ones are going, and they have the NIL and all that, they're going to be aggressive at the portal at the top, but they're also going to, they know that at the end of the day, the high school, you got to have consistency within the program. You can't have consistency if you're relying on the program every year. So they're still going to build within the high school. I just think they're going to be more selective. They're not going to be as quick to try to fill that class because you don't get to be as wrong now. You don't. The rosters are limited. So you got to be more right than you used to be. So I think that's just going to slow everything down. And the good schools, the bigger schools are still going to build through the high school. And I think some of the mid-majors are probably going to keep building on the portal in the JC ranks.
Swing and a miss. We got 2 outs here in Texas and Georgia. Yeah, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand with us, in talking about the way that these smaller programs are looking to get guys and to be that kind of platform for them to prove themselves, which is I think a big reason why the senior future games here is such an interesting addition, because you got a lot of guys who have either been overlooked, were late developers, and now they've got a chance to come out here and prove it. And some of these guys I talked to said, I thought I missed out on the future games. And now to get this chance, it's a really unique and cool opportunity for them.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we have our last game tonight for that, but our first 2, I mean, it's dang near the same amount of colleges that we're looking at right now in Texas, Georgia, they're watching. So it's really cool to see. And the other thing I think has been really cool at 25s is those kids, like, their expectation, like, they've been around it a little longer, the recruiting process. So those kids are really a lot more intelligent. It's fun talking to them, helping them out with their whole process as we get the young guy up.
We are back to Lash Henderson with 2 on and 2 out here in the top of the 5th inning. A chance for him to put a charge into one and continue to write that name for himself here. Big opportunity with Texas already up 6-0.
Well, I remember early beginning of the summer, what was it, the MPI or the 17, whatever national.
He played the 16 unit.
Yeah, and he went nuclear that week.
He sure did. Yeah, he put on an absolute show, and then he went off and played in another tournament, hit a couple more bombs. I believe he had 4 home runs in 1 week. His dad was sending us some videos from another tournament that he played in, but man, he has absolutely loved playing in Georgia this summer.
Yes, he has.
He's got a 2-0 count. Things in his favor here with 2 on and 2 out.
Nice to see him get extended on 1 here.
Oh, swings through it. It's a millisecond off of putting a charge into that one. When you watch a guy who's kind of reached the notoriety that he has so fast, what do you look for in those late stages of high school development for a guy who's already seemingly matured so much physically and has such a high talent level?
Mostly how they handle the failures and the successes. I was lucky. Coached some guys that have done it while they were going through the ages of Lash, and just how they handled the process, and all of them had some common attributes of focus and discipline, and something Lash shows. So, like, how do you handle all the little things? Like, the athletic stuff's easy for them. It's the mental processing, all eyeballs on you all the time. How do you process that?
You mentioned Bobby Witt Jr. earlier and getting to coach him at a younger age. I knew the guy had some stroke in that bat, but the show he put on in the home run derby, I don't know that I quite believed he was going to make it nearly win that thing.
I'm pretty sure when he was 15, on the field to our left, if we were doing this interview like 20 feet back, he would have hit one of us with a wood bat. He made LakePoint look small for a week, and that was when he was 15. And
wow, it's
kind of been that way since. So he, when he was a little kid, he like 13, he was small, but he had like pie forearms. So he's always had juice.
He put on an absolute show, and I think everybody's breath collectively held when he had that one that just went up to the wall in that last swing in the home run derby. So Lash Henderson draws a walk, and the bases are going to be juiced for Texas here with 2 outs in the 5th. So yeah, Lash Henderson gives way to Trent Velade.
Trent's dad's the head coach at Prestonwood Baptist, where Lash and Trent go, and his brother has been, I think he's still up right now. He's back up in the bigs with the Tigers right now, Ryan.
Yep. We got Trent listed as the 3rd-ranked right-handed pitcher in Texas. But tell me a little bit about the presence at the plate.
He's probably listed as a hitter. Hitting's his future, I think. He's a big guy. He's still growing in his body. Like, he's going to be a really big kid. But for one, the lineage, his dad's a good hitting guy. His brother can hit. And then he's got really good barrel-to-ball skills. He showed the ability to leave the yard going the opposite way this spring. So I don't know about that call, but
giving the home team. That's home team umpiring right there.
But he's a really smart kid. Obviously, being a coach's kid, and then he's got some pretty loud tools too.
Well, Georgia trailing 6-0 over Texas as they're going to try to get something going offensively. Here's that game's rolling along. Kansas does have a 6-0 lead over Wisconsin, and Massachusetts up 2-1 over New York. So you've been to this area so many times for the feature games and other events. Are there fast food wise? What's those musts when you get to stop back in Georgia?
I'm not the foodie guy, so you would have to ask all my guys. I tell you, we have a great Airbnb in Woodstock. Went to Publix and got some subs the first night, and tonight we're gonna go fajitas because we'll actually be home before midnight for one night. But you don't really get a chance to eat when you're here.
That's very true. Yeah, it's hard for people, I think, to understand the grind of this place when these events are going. And you guys are jumping around from 3 different teams.
So, we've been here before 9 a.m. every morning this week, and I think the earliest we've gotten home is 11 so far.
Wow.
So, but usually if we get a night off, we usually go down to the Battery and walk around and make a decision.
There you go. Lots of options down there for sure. But you guys got something similar now. I mean, the Rangers followed suit.
They did. I've heard they copied the Battery in St. Louis when they did that, and seeing it at the All-Star game and how much it's growing, because it's not even close to being finished right now. It's been really cool because, it's a joke in Dallas that the Cowboys and Rangers play in Arlington, not really in downtown Fort Worth or Dallas. So. But they've kind of turned it into a nice touristy spot.
Aiden Shreve back out on the mound for another inning here for Texas. See Georgia trying to get something going here. They're going to turn things over at the plate to Martin Scheller. Bringing that swag up for another AB. Forgot we had a throwdown in the inning there, swing and a miss. Scheller hitless in this one so far. He'll be followed by A.J. Rice and Branson Crawford. Branson Crawford, really special presence behind the plate. Also able to get it up around 90 on the mound, but a pop time of 1.84. Scheller ropes that one foul.
No baseballs.
Yeah, Avery Hunt told us that they were getting a shipment of baseballs just in time for this, I believe, and he said something close to 600 dozen baseballs.
I believe it. I don't have this, but we definitely do enough showcases, and we go through quite a few of them.
Yeah, and of course his thought was, well, where do they go? Because I think they go in coaches' bags and they go in people's in players' bags.
Well, this week we talked about this. I wonder how many home run balls during the workouts did we not go collect? Because there's hundreds of baseballs we probably lost during the workout that are over the fences.
That's probably true. Yeah.
That's one thing when we have a showcase maybe on a smaller field, we usually have to end the showcase with going to get home run balls.
Well, on the flip side of that, we had Georgia Highlands, their junior college team, played out of here for years, and you would watch them after a practice was over with, and the coach knew exactly how many baseballs they had, and he knew how many baseballs he was leaving with.
Oh yeah, my man Aiden's hit 2 guys now.
So A.J. Rice gets hit by a pitch, and so he'll make his way down to the plate. Here comes Branson Crawford.
Yeah, we did that in junior college too. We numbered every baseball.
Yep.
And every now and again, coach decides to do a ball check to make sure we've got all of them accounted for. Those were some fun days of conditioning.
So now here is North Hall High School's Branson Crawford. He's the top-ranked catcher in Georgia, 23rd overall in the class. Mentioned pop times down to 1.84. Also has exit velos at 95, bat speed at 77.1. Then gets on the mound and pumps it up to 90 miles an hour at 5'8", 161 pounds.
Well, it's all right. There's a guy a couple years ago from Texas about that statue named Jet Williams.
I remember Jet Williams at area code games putting on some shows here.
Yeah. You can have some dynamite in a small stature.
Yeah, Branson 2022 and 2021 junior feature gamer. Skies that one foul. Going to be no play by the first baseman. See Branson here quite a bit for both North Hall. Plays for the Dream in his travel season. He's a preseason Georgia All-State selection, so he was up there for that showcase.
A lot of high school games at LakePoint throughout the,
yeah,
is
so
it continuous or just early?
It's a lot. We get both. We also, because there's so many area high schools, and especially the rainouts, we'll get a lot of the games that end up moving here like late in the day. We do have a few different high school events that are run during the year, but primarily we have those, and then it's just a lot of rainouts and hey, let's move our game to LakePoint because we do have 8 fields. We have a number of travel teams that do play out of here. My son was playing for USA Scout, and they have they use all 8 fields for their practices a few times a week. So there's somebody here seemingly every day. It's playable, but we do get a lot of high school action here. No longer having the Georgia Highlands baseball team playing here. They actually built their own turf fields up on their facility. Made it all the way to the Junior College World Series this past year. So Dash O'Neill and his crew putting together a really memorable run.
Yeah, JC balls. I think the recruiting was going to make JC ball, but keep improving that product too.
Yeah, I know he was excited about this and the opportunities for them to come down and see those junior players, the senior players, and provide opportunities for
well,
guys.
Just to show the impact that the senior feature games has, there's junior colleges from Texas that are here this week to watch this whole event, which that hasn't been the thing in the past. So
well, what was the forecast made? They were expecting close to 500 coaches.
Yeah, and I mean I believe it. And like I said, it's just not one. It's 3 per school for some 4.
Reeston Durham back at the plate for Georgia out of Decula High School. This is his 3rd feature games. Was playing up a year ago, junior feature games back in 2022. Georgia trying to get something started. They've got runners on, but they trail 6-0 in the 5th inning. Is the last day a little bittersweet for you? Ask Sean Duncan this because so much planning goes into this. Obviously, you guys have so much content that comes out of this. I think that's one of the people see you guys bring the team down here. You guys make the travel. You put them together, put them on the field. That's really only the beginning of the process for you guys, though, because there's so much evaluation that comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Bittersweet. No, I think at the end of it, you're ready for it to be over, but not because you didn't. It's the best week of the year. It's just you put so much into it. Like you feel pretty good about your week, and the kids got to experience this. Like it's awesome, and you kind of just already start looking forward to next year. And a lot of these kids will get invites to some of our high-end state games that get a whole. Oppo bomb.
Yeah, Reeston Durham goes backtrack gone, so the 3-time feature gamer for Georgia's got them on the board. The Decula shortstop goes yard and got some action going on, cuts the Texas lead in half off that 3-run bomb.
Yeah, put the barrel on it, and that ball just kept going the other way.
Texas got a challenge now. Georgia showing some life, and Reeston Durham will give way to Trevor Condon.
I think we knew Georgia was gonna get something going. They're too good of a lineup.
Condon is energy personified. The guy who had a double and a triple last night.
Well, I don't know if you saw, he walked in his first AB and he was begging to stay in there and hit.
Yep.
Tried to ask the umpire to let him hit.
Yeah, my son's got him mic'd up right now, creating some content with Trevor. So he actually goes to high school with him at Etowah High School.
Oh, that's awesome.
State-winning baseball team. Got both him and Deion Cole teammates. So yeah, Trevor previously committed to Miami. I know he was really excited about coming here and being a part of this.
I get every year I get some jokes from some committed kids asking if they can decommit and come then recommit. I don't think that works that way.
Sends that one back foul. 2-1 is the count. Georgia has made a game out of it, 6-3 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Texas has out-hit Georgia 8-3 so far. Texas scoring 5 runs in the 4th inning, added another in the 3rd. Georgia has 3 now off the bat of Reeston Durham. Shreve fell down a little bit on that delivery.
There's a chance Aiden Shreve didn't bring the right cleats. Dude. He's done that 3 times. But he threw well instead of one pitch. We've had some traction issues.
That towel getting a little bit more use. This is probably the hottest day that we've had the entirety of the feature games.
One of the first things we tell in our group chat once we announce our roster, we create a group chat, and it is pitchers bring rosin, because the humidity. I mean, it gets humid in Dallas and Houston, but not like this. So we always make sure and tell them to bring rosin or a towel with them.
Are you guys having hydration talks with the guys too? I know the guys from the Pacific Northwest, a very different climate for them.
Not too much. I'll be honest. Like, this hasn't. The weather here is never too bad. Or the last couple of years, summers in Texas have been pretty brutal. So that most of them are pretty well equipped, and heck, half our guys spend half their summer in Georgia.
That's true.
It feels like anymore. So. They've all played here so much.
You guys being from Texas, I hope you appreciate that we put a Buc-ee's nearby now, so you guys are able to get up there.
So I drove, so I had to bring some equipment. I stopped at the Buc-ee's in Leeds, Alabama, and made my stop, and my last stop before I got to my Airbnb on the way in. I'll probably stop on the way out.
Yeah, they are populating everywhere now. You see that beaver sticker is all over the place.
Next thing you know, we're going to start giving y'all HEB grocery stores too, and give you all our good things.
There you go. Well, we've got Whataburger. So Whataburger came over here a couple of years ago. So
that's I feel like that's a little bit more of a polarizing topic. There's some people that don't love it, which I love it because I think I was told I had to, but. The spicy ketchup, at least, is
that's pretty solid. The onion rings are fantastic. And I like the fact that you can get the breakfast there pretty late in the day as well.
Yeah. Or if you had a late night, you can get it too.
That's true,
In college, I had plenty of taquitos in college.
Yeah, I believe we didn't start getting. There was Whataburgers down in Florida for a while. We make our way down to the Destin areas. Puts a charge into that one's going to drop in for a base hit. Runner's taken off on his way to third. Trevor Condon's going to be standing at third, and Georgia's got him at the corners with one out here in the bottom of the fifth. Yeah, we started just getting Whataburger a couple years ago, but they're seemingly popping up all over the place down here now.
Yeah, you really can't go a couple miles in the DFW area without seeing one.
When we first got one here, the line, people would wait in line well over an hour in the drive-thru for
That's
it.
how In-N-Out was when that finally came to Texas. And I tell you, the other one that recently, it's not a burger, it's the Portillo's.
Yep,
that finally, there's like 3 in the DFW, and that line was aggressive.
Yeah, my wife lived in Chicago for years, so every year for her birthday, it gets shipped to our house. So we get the big freeze-dried thing of Portillo's sauce beefs that are waiting on the front porch.
Yeah, that line is really, really long still, and it's been about a year now.
When we were at Super 60 in Chicago, I went to Portillo's, took pictures of it, and sent it to her just to rub it in.
Yeah.
That's in for a strike.
As a husband should.
That's right. So what do you watch for? So Shreve had a nice first inning. He's run into some trouble in this one. Is this inning and how he responds to it more telling than that first inning when you see him kind of cruise through?
Oh, yeah. I always tell people it's easy. It's easy when it's good. Like, no one ever, like, when it's good, it's everybody's happy. So it's like, yeah. But he's done well. He gave up the bomb, and it's been pretty good. He's battled through some fastball command, it looks like, that outing. But outside of the one pitch, he relied on his off speed and found a way to get it done. And I know he's not going to be thrilled with how it ended. I'm pretty sure his first fastball was 91-1, and that's going to be a PR for him. So all in all, I think the 6'5" righty should be pretty happy.
All right, Texas has a 6-3 lead over Georgia. Brandon, man, appreciate you joining us for so long, man.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. We're going to take a quick break in studio. We'll be back with more of our Future Games Watch Party. That was awesome, man.
So yeah, outrage is trending. Our feed's stirring us up, splitting us up. What if we came out from behind our walls and keyboards just for a sec and just go yard? Front yard. Come out bagging, jumping, check on that Johnsonville feed. Let our individual flavors blend together. Yes, block nobody, block party. Keep it juicy.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
Welcome back to our Future Games Watch Party, now joined in studio by the venerable Shooter Hunt, as we've got a 6-3 lead for Georgia over Texas, Kansas up 8-0 over Wisconsin, and Massachusetts leading 2-1 over New York. You've been here in studio before when we've had one game going on. Tell me about the 3-game experience. Is it overload? Are you loving it? What's the thought process?
You know what, Corey? I was born in this chaos. This is what I do all day. So it's being able to sit down and watch this might be even easier. A lot of lefties going right now, which is pretty fun in each of the quad box. But it's been an incredible event. The town here, now we've had some amazing years. This is as talented of an event as we have had ever, which is a bit overwhelming for me.
This is, by the way, this is baseball for the ADHD crew here, so that's how we approach it here. I was talking with Sean Duncan about this Georgia-Florida game last night. We saw Trevor Condon was rolling around the base pass here a second ago for Georgia. He had a double and triple in that game, a 13-8 victory for Florida over Georgia in that one, including a grand slam home run off the bat of I believe it was Martinez. Jordan Martinez. You were there for that one. Kind of take me through some of the highlights for you in a really anticipated matchup.
You know what? It is misleading too, the 13-8 score, because those might have been the best set of arms of the event so far. But I can't say enough. We'll be talking about that game 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The amount of talent on there, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you're talking 8-10 big leaguers who were out there running around, and everybody did something special. Whether it was defensively, there was barrels, these guys were, it's incredible to me what the hitters have done this week, because the pitching's been so good, and the velocity, the spin rates, the breaking balls, the entire arsenal, and these guys are not scared, especially Georgia and Florida. Those Florida dudes have just absolutely raked this week.
Yeah, they put on a show.
I mean, they're talking, the kids last night were 92, 93, 2,600 backspin. It was impressive stuff from their hitters, and each one, you talked about Reeston yesterday, he hits a double. Condon, 2 doubles. Keon Johnson hits a home run, and they lost the game. So you think going to Jordan Martinez, each guy in Georgia. So the Messina brothers, they've been outstanding as well.
Yeah, Diego Becerra on the mound for Georgia in that one ends up giving up 8 runs, including that grand slam home run. But this is also a guy who runs it up to 90. He's got a curveball with over 2,500 spin. The arm talent, I think in particular, maybe this is a byproduct of the fact that these guys could not commit, or there's so many uncommitted players here. It feels like the level of arms that we've got here just feel different than in past years.
They really do. And you talk about Diego, who Hudson Graham, our director there in Georgia, absolutely loves. And I told him, even though he didn't have the great outing yesterday, might have been as good as I thought he was. Just to see his progression to that high upside. He's got 3 pitches. The strikes are going to come. He's growing. He's growing into his body, and that's something that's special about this event. You're looking for the projection. So not just the result in this short window, but what can this guy become, and how he bounces back will be big for that. But I like his upside.
So Dylan Four is at the plate right now for Texas. He is 1 for 2 on the day as they lead 6-3 over Georgia. And
you know what's cool? The mnemonic, because his last name's 4, he's wearing number 4, has
been
helpful
that,
because I like number 4. He stood in really well. It's what you expect from a Texas kid. He plays hard. He's not scared. He's really tracked well. But this big lefty on the bump for Georgia, though, is pretty tough.
4 is going to be followed by Trey Rangel as Jake Ernest takes off for second. The throw is going to go into center field, so he'll be standing at the 2 bag. Texas looking to answer as their lead got cut in half by Georgia off the bat of Reeston Durham.
You know what else I've noticed this week? I don't know if you've seen it, but bats have been flying out of guys' hands.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that hot. It's actually we've had a nice breeze, cloud coverage. For all of you who are listening right now, have come to LakePoint. It can get a little hot here in the summer if you didn't know. It has been very mild. Kind of makes me feel like I'm in Southern California.
It got really, really bad during the 16 and 17U national championships. 17U national championships, weather was unbearable. But yeah, we had some storms come in, kind of cooled things off, and it's been typically during the future games, everyone's just like trying to find some semblance of shade here at LakePoint Sports to kind of hulk away in. But it's been, as you said, a little bit mild, a little more bearable than it has been in past years.
I mean, I was wearing quarter zip all day yesterday. It was a bit, it felt like fall a little bit. Not quite, but you get the point there.
So 3-2 is the count. On the mound right now for Georgia, Sebastian Walsh. Well, that one's going to be, the short's going to gather throw in time for the out, but runner's going to advance to third in the form of Ethan England, and that's going to mean we're going to have Trey Rangel at the plate. Now, see, I just mentioned this earlier. Trey Rangel goes up and does this little half circle with the bat. He told me that's because that's his bat. That's where he wants the bat path.
Okay.
So he said if he's locked in, he says he has kind of a scissor swing, and that's kind of his cue. This is where I'm going to go with the bat. So he kind of does that each and every time he steps to the plate.
It's interesting he's two-way in here because he's one of the best arms in the class as well. But you're always looking for those athletes. What can this guy do athletically? It just really helps build that upside for him. And even he's a guy who is electric on the bump, but he got punched in the face early from the Florida guys. They weren't scared of him. And then he came back to show us what he got.
Yeah, struck out the side in his second inning, and he was just like, he said he felt like it, you know, he could feel it when he got on the mound. Even though he was here a year ago, I think you bring a guy back the second year, you would almost think, okay, they get it. But that second year, they know they're days away from a coach being able to reach out to them. And so you can't tell me that there's going to be any less energy, any less jitters than it was the previous year.
And you remember Dylan Lasco, I'm sure, first rounder, Padres from Georgia. He threw here, and I was telling this story against Florida. Florida had a nice team, a lot of scrappy guys who've gone on good college stuff. Dylan Lasco's the mega dude, steps on the mound, and these Florida guys punched him right in the face for 2 innings, and they were on the barrel. He couldn't get away from them, and he obviously went on to great things. But in that one short moment, those Florida guys grabbed their opportunity, and you come to the future games, you never know what you're going to get, and it was really fun to remember that and to see it in the moment.
Rangel's got a 2-2 count against him. Was a football player for his dad, Rudy, at the Colony, and he said they had to have a few weeks of talks as he goes down on strikes, as he stepped away from the game of football and decided to just bring his focus to the baseball field, where he's the top-ranked right-handed pitcher in Texas, #2 overall at the position. And I've told this a couple times, that 3,000 RPMs that he's getting off that curveball, about a year ago, he just made a small tweak on the grip, and that's what's changed everything for him.
It's so fascinating, especially at this age. It's such a vital time to get that progression, especially with a breaking ball. And from 15 to 16, 16 to 17, you can really see things like that make a jump. So to hear Trey make that little adjustment is really outstanding.
Yeah, and guys willing to make that adjustment too, right? Because I think, you know, some of these guys, they get a reputation, and you know, maybe they're a little bit reluctant to go out there and you know, and add a new pitch, or to be able to make these changes, because you don't want to get away from what got you to where you're currently at. So to be able to have the, you know, the confidence to be able to do that, I think says a lot about the player as well.
You know, my steps are going to be down today now that I'm sitting here, because usually I have to walk around the quad to see all these games. So now I'm able to go back and forth, which is really making it difficult to concentrate on one.
So we've got 3 games going here. We have the potential, and we may have to address this a year from now, to bring in all 8 fields at once.
Oh,
so
wow.
you could potentially sit here and we could watch all. I'm afraid it might be a little bit of overload to be watching 8 games at one time, but right now we're kind of taking baby steps as we work towards that well.
Absolutely. This is, I mean, I got to say, this is the last day. It has been incredible. Being here at LakePoint is always special. I think the new turf was great. Guys were really blazing in the 60. I think the bounce of the turf was helping.
We've had a lot of great reviews on it, and especially, you know, the way it plays. I think guys just kind of talk about it's a lot more true, and everyone loves the look of it than the dark turf that we previously had before. So everyone's been extremely happy with the work of geosurfaces and these remade fields here.
And the tent out, what's the tent?
The Curve Test Center.
Okay, that's been awesome, because it's also served as a target for hitters, because Dion Cole the other day was taking BP, and
rope one off the top of the building.
Gonna have to send the maintenance crew there to put some holes in.
There was talk about putting a target on top of it. And that there was going to be a reward for players if they they get a free test, or they get whatever if they hit the target on the building. But I think, you know, we got the tie-in with Audi. Sean Duncan likes to joke when we do our player of the game that they get a free Audi. I think we put a target on that building if someone gets a free Audi, or at least a lease, or a month, something. We got to do something for the game. Maybe a keychain. Audi's got to step up, and we'll do something with that test center.
Based on what I saw the last 2 days, it might put them out of business, though, because there were a lot of balls hitting the top of that.
Cortland Stovall on the mound right now for Texas. We got him at 87.9 with the fastball. Let's see if he gets that future games juice and adds a little bit new number to his profile. Also got a curveball 76 to 77, 79 70 to 80 on the slider.
Yeah, this guy's big Texas arms, and they always pop. Every year we're looking for, especially in the draft year, which Texas arm's going to blow up. And guys, oh, he's 99.2. You come back in the spring, and this guy's touching 96, 97.
I've not talked to you since the draft. Cam Caminetti, prep baseball All-American, winds up going to the Atlanta Braves in the first round. Did the wait for the first high school player last longer than you anticipated it was going to?
No, I think we kind of expected it to go that deep to the point where it went to the Pirates with Connor Griffin.
Yep.
That was right around. The Pirates have shown that they really like the high school guys, the high school upside guys. So that was right around where Cardinals, Pirates, Nationals, right where we thought they'd go.
Yeah, Connor Griffin, prep baseball National Player of the Year, as you mentioned, ends up going to the Pirates.
Guy stole like 100 bases this year. It's incredible. This kid up right now from Georgia, what's his name? Because he's been wearing the blue spikes, which also helps the left-handed hitter. Shoot, I'd see it if I had it right in front of me. But he's taken some nice hacks too. Honestly, the entire Georgia team has been on time.
Yeah, this is William Myhand. Myhand, when you look at the other games for Georgia so far, I actually have all their information here. He had on 2 runs he drove in on Thursday. Then Friday had 2 more and 2 hits. So he's been a guy who's certainly been up for the moment for Georgia. Myhand Simity, who's here quite a bit.
He was with the Smart Tense team.
Yep.
He was a guy
Mill
I loved
Creek.
last year for the first time seeing him. Then this year, the same thing. Yeah, last night, I think he had, was it 2 or 3 hits, like you just said. It just looks like a pro hitter on the barrel. It looks very similar to Kid Costello, who's going to LSU from New Jersey. He was a draft guy this year. But, ooh, wow, that was a tough call for my guy right there.
So Myhand goes down on strikes, the Mill Creek 2026. You see our friend the Wasp has made his way to the Massachusetts-New York game. He's doing some scouting for us. He was hanging out in here, put the fear of God into Sean Duncan before he took off.
Did we get that? Did we tape that? 'Cause I would love to
Well,
see
I had
it.
one the other day. It actually went inside my glasses and hit my
geez.
eye. And then I decided to, I had to take out one of his cousins yesterday when Brandon Geyer showed up to do some stuff with me. So I've at least claimed one of them here during the feature games. But yeah, been a bit of an issue.
Lefty's got a good arm. Honestly, all the kids been like. I was just talking to some college guys. That's one of the cooler things, like grabbing a college guy. Hey, there's a good guy you got to see over here. And I think our state directors do such a great job of almost promoting the player. Like, here's a good one because just like anybody else, the college coaches can get lost. There's a lot going on. There's so much to choose from. Being overwhelmed is something that can happen. But when you have guys like our state directors who are just so hyper-local, they know about the kid. They know who's academic. I was talking to great Nevada arm through the other day. He's going to throw really hard, but super academic. And the Ivy League schools aren't always going out to Vegas to look for a kid, so just going up to them saying, hey, you might want to go check this guy out. He may have interest. He's a high academic guy. That's what I love about this, just the networking and uniting the players, which essentially the family and player, to the coaches, to the school.
Chip Gligorski ends up fouling out down the right side. No, he looks like the AB is going to continue. Thought that we had made a play on the ball. So, of course, you got Chip Gligorski, Gino Goralski, and Luke Nikowski all on the same Georgia Jackets team. They call him the Polish Mafia.
And when I talked to Hudson and Ian Smith down there, Chip and Gino trying to figure out which was which. And put my own mnemonic in my head for which one's this guy, which one's that one.
Chip's bigger.
Chip gets off the big coil, big hacks, put on a show in BP. Gino's a little more compact and direct with his swing. So that's how I look at it.
What was your take on Luke Nikowski, seeing him in action? Obviously the son of C.J. Nikowski, longtime major leaguer, Atlanta Braves analyst, first-round draft pick out of St. John's.
Well, I've been trying to see CJ or Luke for forever because I followed CJ growing up. CJ went to Don Bosco Prep High School, played with my cousin there, then he was at St. John's, great. So he was a guy that I grew up liking because he was so good. He went on the minor leagues, tracking in all the magazines. He played with my cousin, actually lived next door to my aunt and uncle in Suffern, New York.
Wow.
So checking out Luke last night, who comes in, long game, Florida's really hitting, and he looked great. And it was really awesome to see, having grown up watching his dad and following him when he was in high school. It was really cool. Great arm. Looks like a shortstop on the bump. He's only gonna get better. And then even talking to the coaches about him, they're asking like, "What did you think of Nick House yesterday?" I was like, "That's a guy you want to circle. You want to follow that guy."
Yeah, I've known CJ for quite a while. I know he's been excited to watch the progress of Luke, and he's here, but he obviously stays a little bit further back and lets Luke kind of do his own thing. And he's been obviously a lot here more often as he's taken the job with the Atlanta Braves broadcast, coming over from the Texas Rangers side of things.
It's got to be so tough for those guys, and there's a lot of big leaguers and sports fathers here.
Yep.
The amount of pressure that they feel for their kids, because I know I feel for my kids, my brother, whatever it may be, and I can only imagine they'd much rather be playing themselves to handle it, because it's out of their control, and you always want your kid to do well.
Yeah, we've got Jason Kidd here, Jim Thome, Jenny Finch has a son playing as well, just on and on and on with the number of big-time sport lineages that we've got as part of this future games.
Oh yeah, it's been awesome. I saw Michael Dyer here.
Yep.
It's been fun to walk around, but yeah, those guys getting to enjoy watching their kids play.
It was a little jarring watching Jason Kidd walking around, because it's just not somebody you expect to see in this kind of an environment. But his son Chase is part of the junior future games team for Texas.
I did a double take a couple times. I was in Las Vegas a few years ago. It was during the NBA Summer League, and they have all these like auditoriums. I just happened to like go into the wrong room, and it was just Jason Kidd kind of like getting some notes done. So I did the same exact thing here. I walked up into the tower, and I looked at him. It's just a double take, like, oh, Jason Kidd. And then you also forget, like, oh yeah, he's a point guard, but yeah, he's 6'4".
Yeah,
he's a good sized guy.
Yep.
This is the Ashton Ballou kid who honestly came on my radar from Texas for the first time because of what he did at the PBR Cup. And he was down here, put on a show. I forget what team he was with.
I believe he was playing for the Canes.
Was he with the Canes there? But was outstanding there. It was like, this guy hits. So he's got some buggy whip to the barrel, takes it there, takes a nice walk. But always looking for those swing decisions, those twitchy, high-waisted guys who can play up the middle. He's been playing shortstop this week. So he was another one. But honestly, it was, I think, through the stream that I saw him.
Yeah, Canes Southwest, that's the team that Ashton Ballou plays for. He's already homered here once for Texas on the first day of action. So they will go from Ashton Ballou to Lucas Nowosky.
Lucas taking some nice at-bats, too. The entire workout for Team Texas, Georgia, Florida, those guys, there's one after another. Again, putting that curve 10 in danger.
Yeah, now Rocky has had a really great run here. He's 1 for 1 on the day with a couple of RBI, and then you look at what he's been able to do in previous games. He had a double on Thursday, and then on Friday doubled again.
That was a tough pitch. That was up. It's that midday, the midday these umpires get a little bit tired here, I think.
Oh. Skies that one back foul. Vernon Woodard, on the mound right now for Georgia.
You got like that low vertical approach. He's trying to get that ride through the zone. It seems to be look for those outliers, right? The low slot with the ride, the high slot with the sink. Those are just kind of some quick things to look for. And this guy's sinking down, trying to get that ride there. Ooh. Left that one up on the changeup, the old elevated changeup.
Yeah, when you come at it from that arm angle, everything's going to kind of have a little bit of rise to it, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. Good hack there. He's hanging tough 1-2. You see, what is that? Keon Johnson out there at shortstop. I'm doing my best scouting here with 3 games. Able to move around and really enjoy the game. Nobody's distracting me except for you, Corey.
Yeah. Well, I try to be a supplement, not a distraction.
Uh-oh. I see our Wasp friend coming in here. I got locked eyes on him in case I have to go.
Yeah, you have to give me a little bit of a scouting report on him. I don't think he's got any room to fill out. I think the frame is what it is, but see what you think of the movement.
They growing bigger down here in Georgia.
Well, I was hoping Brandon Goens, I think everything's supposed to be bigger in Texas, so I would assume that they've got Wasp beside of a 5-year-old that are running around the Lone Star State. I was hoping he might have some advice for us on how to get rid of them, but instead it stayed away when Brandon was in here.
Oh, that's good. Hopefully it does the same here. Ballou was on the move there. It was a walk. What's number 10's name? 9, 10, 11 took some really good at-bats, all left-handed hitters for Texas.
Yeah, that was Luke Narosky. Cannon Lightfoot is number 10, and Jack Robinson comes in number 11.
Okay.
Cannon Lightfoot stepping into the plate right now. Lightfoot from Brock High School, 5'10", 180-pounder, 19th ranked shortstop in Texas, 57th overall. Any position harder to rank than shortstop when seemingly everybody's best player is playing shortstop?
No. Yeah, they're always looking at the shortstops for the most part to start, make things easy up the middle. Oh, I'm watching now a different game there, Wisconsin. That was a nice play, shortstop.
Yeah, I've been locked in on this Texas-Georgia game, I just think, for the most part, because we have two of the top players in the class of 2027 is in here. Obviously, Keon Johnson, #1 player in Georgia in the class of 2026. So it's just been, obviously, this was a game I think a lot of people had penciled and circled as one that was going to just present a lot of talent, but obviously not to the chagrin of what's going on with Kansas and Wisconsin, where Kansas leads 9-0 and Massachusetts is up 5-2 over New York.
No, this has been an excellent quad. Each of the quads have been fun to watch. Even last night, Minnesota played against the Midwest team, which is Iowa, Nebraska, some Dakotas. That was slam-packed with coaches. All of them there. And then on the field next to it, you had Texas and Tennessee, who had a whole other group of coaches, and they were all just locked in right over there. And it was a lot of good stuff to see there. 3-2, no outs. It's a big pitch coming here.
Sawyer Nelson down in the bottom left corner, currently on the mound for Kansas as they're up 9-0 over Wisconsin.
Tucker Thompson started this game for Kansas and was electric from the left side. 90-92, 3 pitches for a strike. As Keon's going to get a chance there at short to turn it. No, they're not going to get him.
Able to get one, though, with a nice flip to second base.
Now, Corey, I'm already planning out the stuff that's going to come out of this. We have all our stat stories, kind of the shooters, tops, arms, position players, sleepers. This kid who's coming to the plate for Texas would be one of my favorite sleeper bats of the week. I think it's Jax. Is it Jax Robinson here?
Yep. Yeah, this is Jax Robinson.
Just absolutely on time at all times. Doesn't matter who's on the mound. Love the way those hands work. He's taken some great hacks. There's some controlled aggression to the path. And he just looks ultra hitterish. Very similar to Kid Carter Rutenbar, who was here last year, who just continues to rake. He ended up committing to Arkansas. He's going to keep hitting. And I hope that didn't hit him. Okay, good.
Runners taking off. Texas going to get one back. Throw to home, not in time. They now lead 7-3 over Georgia in the top of the 7th.
I know Coach Hudson and Coach Ian are definitely tense in the dugout after that loss last night. They do not want to go home with a losing record.
Yeah, and they had put so much emphasis and I'll be honest with you, pressure on themselves with this group, because these were kids that they had as junior feature gamers, and they watched progress, and this was Hudson's first crew of kids. I know that Caden Dawson told me this felt like a travel team. Robinson gets a hold of that one, sends in to right, though. Skies it. It's going to be caught for the second out. Runner's going to stay at second base, though. But yeah, Caden Dawson said this felt like a travel team. He said, you look at the bats that we've got in this Georgia lineup, he said it's just nasty.
Yeah, they're outstanding. As Lawson Behan's going to come up, a Houston area kid from Lamar High School. Big physical kid. Was part of that Wildcatters program that was here at
they
the
were here
NPI.
multiple times.
Which I didn't know what a Wildcatter was until recently. It was not just an animal. It was more of an oil tycoon who was off on his own. Had no idea, learned it. Awesome stuff. The things you learn. Takes that off the plate. He has some crazy power, kind of some freaky athleticism. I would call it a unique look to the swing, just with the way the hips don't fully clear, but he's just so strong. The pull side power is clearly there.
Yeah, Behan homered in Thursday's game.
2-strike home
base there. 6 foot, 185-pounder of Lamar High School, excuse me. 5th ranked shortstop.
Did they call him out? Is this the last inning?
No, it's not. This is only the 7th inning. So, question in the call. We got to hit our replay booth here, but nonetheless, we're going to progress in Texas and Georgia, with Texas leading 7-3. Massachusetts has a 5-2 lead over New York. Kansas leading 9-0 over Wisconsin.
As I'm getting I feel like it's Adam Schefter. Each of the field that the state director sent in. Who's Hudson saying Keon's a double away from the cycle on the week. And then obviously Reeston had that knock there from Georgia. As I get that Dan Cox with some Hawaii guys, getting some information on those guys from earlier today.
Yeah, I believe I've told this a couple times. Dan told me he had a catcher, 14-year-old catcher with a 1.78 pop time.
Oh, gee, he said he's real good.
Yeah.
Man. He's like, it is outstanding. You just wouldn't believe your eyes of what this kid's able to do. Nice stroke from the Wisconsin kid. He's one of those twins there from Wisconsin. He took a really good BP the other day. Oh, man. Basketball player, too. I don't know his name. Sorry.
Well, that'll be a fun player to watch, certainly from the state of Hawaii. I was talking to some of their guys yesterday about just what they go through during this kind of 5-6 week period where they leave home and they get it to California. They go to Georgia, Texas, Florida, trying to write their path, and with the understanding that if you're going to make any kind of a play as a player, you got to leave and come to the mainland and kind of go through the rigors and the grinds of it for a few weeks and be away from home and just kind of live with being uncomfortable for a while.
Just the idea, even just how they're eating, it
Yeah.
has got to be tough, and the travel, not sleep in your own bed, but you grow up fast, and it really probably helps mature them in a hurry for the college life, so it's cool for them. Excuse me, as Massachusetts up, I'm watching Maury Freed up in the top screen here. He put on quite the show in the workouts, got some big power there at the plate from the right side on the Mass. This looks like Malachi Washington. He's a Parkview kid, right? He's played outstanding this week, and he's one of the big takeaways for me on this week. I think his upside and the ceiling's been set really high. Can really run. The burst out of the box is clearly there. Defensive work, power at the plate. He's gotten off some great swings last night, especially against some good arms. Doesn't matter what the pitch is. He's tracking really well. Secondary, he's shutting it down early.
Yeah, bat speed around 80.6 for the 6-foot, 187-pounder. You mentioned Maury Freed hit a 2-run home run in Friday's 7-6 win over Connecticut.
Yeah, Maury's not going to get cheated. He's got a nice swing there.
6'3", 227-pounder out of Pittsfield High School. Name you come out as an 80-year-old man, I think, when your name is Maury Freed, but it's a fantastic show. Over 101-2 off the bat, man, and they are going to be on the run. Maury Freed making his way to second base. He's got himself a RBI double as Massachusetts. Here comes one more. Is going to make it 7-2 in the 6th inning. Freed on his way into third base. He's going to be safe. Maury Freed owning the moment, man. Shooter, that was some serious hitting. 101-2 off the bat.
Yeah, you know, that guy's got some serious juice, square shoulders, big frame, short stroke from right side. He's another guy putting that curve tent in danger back on Wednesday. But for him, then a home run, put that triple. I'm sure his parents are pumped. Moved up, showed some hustle, corner profile, but definitely some big power there. Good stuff, Maury Freed.
Yeah, 2022 junior feature gamer showing out in his second trip back to LakePoint Sports. Going to be down the left side.
So Dion Cole up right now, who you know well, Etowah guy.
Yep.
The bat speed last night. Now it didn't have the results, but the bat speed shows up is outstanding.
Yeah, we had him with exit velos around 104, I believe, at the height of the summer for him.
It's big power profile at this point. I really like what he did throughout the early summer at the MPI. He showed the ability to just play hard at all times. Whether it's going to be center field or an infield profile, we'll see. But the power and bat speed are definitely things that will already attract some pro eyes.
Yeah, Lash Henderson, Keon Johnson, and Dion Cole, guys who at young ages seemingly carry themselves like big leaguers. I think it's a different kind of athlete. I remember reading Dion when he was in middle school, and he was already carrying himself like he was Francisco Lindor. It's just a different kind of vibe around an athlete like that, and I think you talk about guys from a physical standpoint where they walk in and you see them and you think, wow, that guy's different. But that 97.6 off the bat, there's other guys, the presence just feels different.
Yeah, mature kids from an early age, and I think baseball, we're in a golden age of college baseball right now, with NIL shifting over, and the way it has been with football and basketball, it's kind of coming into baseball. These guys are getting more famous, I would say, quote-unquote famous from an earlier age. They learn how to handle themselves almost like professionals from an early age. Baseball's always had that air of how do you handle yourself, what's your poise, going out there and handling yourself with some grace out there. But the three you just named are very much so. And I think it has something to do with being down here in Atlanta, being in Georgia, the fact that everybody's coming here every year. LakePoint is the mecca of youth baseball. Everybody's coming here. They know what they're going to get. They know what they want to bring, and they're going to protect their state lines, and they're going to show that they're the best.
Yeah, and Lash Henderson, part of that USA Prime team where he's rolling around the landing green. He's got Chase Fuller and those guys. I mean, it's like you throw all those guys together and you play up. It's like you got to know how to handle yourself.
It used to be you're playing your town team. You may go meet those guys at some point, but now this national circuit brings everybody together. They're on those teams. They're playing against each other. It is fun to see them when they want to go head-to-head and say that I'm better than you, and they want to show it out, which is kind of what they've been able to do here. I was listening to Jalen Walker, who's a Texas kid who's played with Keon and all those guys talking about how he played with them. So I asked him, I said, who's better? And I put him on the spot. Who's better, you or him? So the guys on the bench were having a good time with that one.
Kansas, a 9-0 winner over Wisconsin. Caden Dawson, we talk about guys in the class of 2027. This is a guy, I think, when Georgia he's obviously playing a year up here. I think when they are building out their future games rosters, Caden Dawson kind of that centerpiece for Hudson Graham and Ian Smith going forward. And this is a special player on a program in Blessed Trinity. Terrence Bowen, Oklahoma State commit, has now made his way over to Blessed Trinity and is going to be part of this team. So, yeah, they are going to be next level nasty when we're talking about the 2025 high school season here in the state of Georgia.
Well, if I'm down here for GDC again, if you could just order a little more warmth for GDC, that would be great.
Well, we're going to get heat in our studio for that time, so you'll be able to come in here, and we'll have all the games going on at once again. And you'll be able to just kind of sit in here in our control room and take it all in.
You know what? I don't want to say it's premonition, but I'm on the line here on my Adam Schutzer hotline phone talking to Hudson Graham, who just said things are lining up nicely on Field 10, which he had no idea I was in here watching them. But it looks like we got Keon on deck. He's going to come up down 4. Keon Johnson, who has had an outstanding week. I can't say enough. The tools are obviously there. Great athlete. You just walk on the field, you don't miss that guy.
Yep.
But his ability with 2 strikes to get the foot down, there's a little funk to load late, but you have to be an absolute freak to be able to turn the barrel like him, and he's been able to do it, and I've been really, really impressed by his pitch tracking ability.
He told me the two things that he least likes when he's on the field. Number one, he doesn't like when some kid forgot to wear the uniform that everybody else has, because we know there's always those kids. He also does not like it when the catcher wants to talk to him when he comes up to the plate. Just let me go up there, let me do my work.
You know what? I don't blame him. I don't want to talk to you. I want to beat you. So good for him. As that first pitch was a bit inside to go 0-1, but make it work to the 1-1. This is a big pitch right here.
Keon Johnson, #1 player in Georgia. Count's not going to be 2. Oh, they're going to give him the strike. I think Keon was a little surprised by that call.
But I like how he didn't let it affect him too much there, right? Oh, quick. Now on to the next pitch. He's washed himself clean. He's going to battle with 2, which is what he's done all week.
Nobody out, 1-2 count. Now he's going to make it 2-2.
This is exciting, Corey. We picked a good game here.
I told you this was the one when I was putting together what the games we were going to highlight through this. Georgia, Texas felt like an absolute must. Here comes a 2-2. The charge into that one's going to go right to the shortstop. Nice glove grab, able to get on second base and get the out, but not before a run scores for Georgia, so makes it 7-4 here in the top of the 7th as Keon Johnson finds himself at first base with an RBI.
You know what? There was some questionable coaching there. 7-4 game, bases loaded, and we seem to have the infield in. I don't know if that was the move there. I might have to talk to Coach Goens and Coach Cody there with Texas.
Now here comes Martin Scheller. Martin Scheller got some lightning in that bat for sure when you start talking about guys and what they're able to do from an exit velo standpoint. I mean, it just jumps off the page for the 6'2", 200-pounder from Marist.
Scheller has made a fan of me this week. I've been blown away by him, getting to watch him for now the 4th day from workouts. There's some crudeness to the setup, and then you go past that, and it is absolute electric bat speed. His ability to be on time, he really tracks well. I'm sure his S2 cognition and his eye testing, his visual edge are probably outstanding because he's been great at the plate, on time, and my man does not get cheated.
It's just there's violence in that swing. If you watched him during his batting practice on Thursday when the rain was starting to come down a little bit and that ball was just jumping off his bat. We got him at a bat speed of 79.1. exit velo over 100.
And if I was in the best way, I call it the controlled aggression, because it's not like he's all over the place. In the end, he's very much in a phone booth, able to turn the barrel, and the power is there. You pitch to a guy like that differently because you know he can do damage in an instant. He's not feeling it around. He's not just dipping his toe. He's jumping in the deep end. He's trying to put the ball over the fence.
2021 junior feature gamer.
Oof.
Oh, man, that was absolutely nasty on the corner. Gets Martin Scheller frozen, and that's going to be a second out and a big out for Texas as they lead 7-4 over Georgia. So we'll go from Martin Scheller to A.J. Rice. A.J. Rice, a name when I was asking Hudson Graham about guys who he thought were potential breakout candidates for his Georgia team. He felt like both on the mound and at the plate that A.J. Rice, a Pickens High School 6-foot 160-pounder, comes in as the 4th-ranked shortstop in the class, was going to be able to potentially make that kind of a move here across future games.
You know, AJ, I thought, showed some really big stuff last night, as he has all summer. Did not have the results that he wanted, but that's, again, something about this event that guys will circle you. He's up to 91 with 3,000-plus RPM and a really good breaking ball. Probably threw too many of those and didn't trust his fastball enough because it was really good yesterday. But he's going to be great. And real pitchability. He's an athlete on the mound. He's kind of got that secret weapon, not even a secret weapon, that loud weapon with the breaking ball that he'll be able to go to whenever he's in trouble. But I thought, even though the results weren't there, I was really impressed with what he's got.
Oh, he's got a hold of that one. That's going to be on the run. That one's going to go all the way to the wall. So another, runner's going to score for Georgia. Here comes tracking from third. Going to be a 2-out, 2-run double for A.J. Rice. Hudson Graham maybe a little bit of Nostradamus there as we see Georgia making this thing interesting off the bat of A.J. Rice.
Oh, that was a big-time hit from Mr. A.J. Rice there as he gets the next guy up. It brings the tying run to second base, go-ahead run to the plate. Who we got coming up here, Corey?
So we go from A.J. Rice to Branson Crawford, and Branson Crawford, a player that we spent a lot of time with here at LakePoint Sports, coming to you from North Hall High School. 5'8", 161-pounder, bat speeds 77.1, exit velos 95.8 out of that frame, 91.2 off the bat there. That's going to short, throw in time for the out, so Texas able to still stay on top 7-6, but Georgia, man, making something of it here as we move along in that game, and Massachusetts leads 7-2 over New York in another game of action right now.
Man, this is getting fun over here. Texas, Georgia, guys do not want to travel home from Texas with a loss, especially early on getting that lead at 7-3. But one inning to play. We'll see what they can do here.
Checking in over in Massachusetts and New York. Massachusetts on the mound right now, and see they're rolling with at the moment. This is Matt Blanusa from Dexter Southfield, excuse me. Matt, the 7th-ranked righty in the state, 17th overall in the class.
I'm getting out a tweet now on a kid, Matt Mieres from Minnesota, who I liked yesterday. Big physical kid, which all Minnesota kids are, 6'4", square-shouldered, Paul Bunyan type. Obviously left-handed, hockey kid, likely. But he had great BP pregame yesterday, and then he had an absolute mammo tank, which good one to follow, right? All these coaches hoping to find guys who are going to impact their program. Potential guy, catcher Matt Mieres.
Vernon Woodard back out for another inning of work for Georgia, trying to keep this thing close as they try to see if they can walk this off in the bottom of the 8th inning. The wins and losses don't matter, I really think, to anybody but the state directors.
You know, the amount of trash talking, I don't know if you talked about it already, but when Florida beat Texas on the first day and the tweet went out, welcome to the SEC,
yeah.
I about fell over out of my chair.
Yeah, it's all obviously in good fun. Everybody's here for the same result, which is to get players in front of coaches and end up getting guys to playing ball at the next level. But, you know, when you're handpicking your crew from your state and you're going up against another state that's got a reputation for developing and delivering talent, everybody wants to walk out of there with the kind of, you know, they want the W in their column.
Nobody wants to lose. As Branson Crawford sends a missile down to second base.
Yeah, Branson Crawford, a special talent behind the plate, a guy who also runs it up to 90+ on the mound.
Who's Ethan England's been a guy I've been watching too. He last night, it's something coaches are always watching, and I went in to tell one of the teams that between innings to shine, and he was amazing between innings. He was just dancing around, looked like a ninja out there, and which not easy to do, right? Everybody, it's late at night, but he was just dancing around, putting on a show, glove to hand, second base, shortstop, but real good hands out there. So good to see him as Mr. Lawson Behan steps back to the plate.
That was something that Trey Rangel and I talked about, like the way you conduct yourself, the teammates you are, the demeanor, you know, what not just what happens when you've got the ball or the bat in your hand, how crucial that is in this kind of an environment when a coach can look at 5-6 guys who are, you know, throwing into the 90s, you know, from the arm. How do you differentiate yourself outside of the play? And he said him and his dad, who's a football coach at the Colony, Rudy, they talk about that quite a bit, just it going beyond what happens on the field of play.
It's so important, especially in this, and a lot of kids get a chance to see, like, wow, there's if they're back home and they're the only good player there, they get to come here and say, hey, everybody's good. How do I become great? How do I separate myself? But those are the little things that you can control. Control the controllable. What effort you can give each day. How do you wear your uniform? Going out there between innings. So great for Trey Rangel. It's obviously son of a coach, something like that. He would be able to know.
Ropes that one foul. As you have your conversations with the teams ahead of the event here, what do you kind of tell guys about going into this environment? You get some guys who have been here before, but for newbies coming into this, and you're trying to say you're good, you're here because you're good, but what's your kind of message to them about kind of handling everything that comes with this?
Well, it's obviously that there can be a lot of pressure, right? Don't let the pressure outweigh the pleasure of being here. You're in a select group of kids that have been identified by our scouts who are all over the place, great evaluators. But one of the big things is that coaches want to like you, okay? So do something good. They won't remember the bat. All they're going to walk away with, he hit a home run. Hey, you struck out 6. Oh, yep, but he also hit a home run. They want to walk away with he was really good in the field. So do something each day that you can be proud of going back home with. It's not going to – you're going to go over 4. You're going to go over – that is going to happen. But did you give a hard 90? Were you able to go out in the field and show off your arm a bit? Were you the first one on the field? Were you the first one off? Stuff like that, I think, in being able to control that type of stuff is what I tell these guys, because some of you are going to go home with no hits. There have been first-rounders who did not get a hit at this. There have been really good players.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up, because Sean Duncan and I were talking about yesterday with Cale Fountain at the Prep Baseball All-American game, and it was such a little thing, but talking about Cale, picking up trash, and this is the guy who ends up, LSU signee ends up, getting drafted, to kind of have that mentality at an event like that when you could just, I'm here, I'm an All-American, not my problem, but those things matter.
I think how you do some things, how you do all things, so like just those little things like that, you can kind of count on a kid for what he's going to be. And I think a lot of the coaches, you see little things. Is he lazy? Is this guy, when things are going bad, going to be able to pick himself up each day? That's what they're analyzing, right? Especially with, kind of new rules that are coming into effect. They really have to zero in and make some good evaluations, and the makeup and that stuff all goes into those evaluations.
New pitcher for New York is Riley Clemens-Batenko from CBA Syracuse, Fayetteville, New York. How rewarding was it for you to see so many Prep Baseball All-Americans drafted? It had to be a really cool experience.
It really was, and what was great about this class, and we do such a great job on the local level, the national level, regional level, evaluating the talent, and this draft was more difficult because there was not the slam dunk guys, which meant what we do best is that scouting, the ability to dive in there and dissect guys, where you see a Griffin Burkholder, you see a Carter Johnson, you see a Tyler Bell, you see Tyson Lewis, who came to the Super 60 or super high on. Cale Fountain was fairly famous, but Ryan Sloan, Dason Hill, who comes to those All-American games. It's not just kind of the super famous guys who are easy for everybody to pick out, but the ones where our scouts do such a good job. I mean, you carry it over to the Super 60, which had 19 guys drafted. I have to start adding up the amount of $1 million that were made at the Super 60, but guys who prepare the opportunity. It's something that we love is, hey, we can't go up and play for those guys. We can't go tell somebody you have to do this. All we can do is afford the opportunity or prepare the opportunity for these guys to come and shine. It's always very rewarding for us, essentially as the fan of these future gamers, when the colleges click and they come over, you grab a guy.
86-7 off the bat on the run. That one's into the left field corner.
Is that Lash again? Or was that No, that was Jalen Walker. He's had a good week, too.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to have extra bases, but instead able to make the out. But it goes all the way from Cam Caminiti to Hunter Carnes, the next to the last pick. So it was like, you know, the another 2 All-Americans kind of bookend things in that way.
Yeah, and Hunter Carnes' best days are going to be at Florida State. Once he gets there, he's going to put on a show there. But even the entire All-American game, right? It's our inaugural one. To see those guys go off the board, it's such
it was cool.
Yeah, it really was outstanding.
So 7-6 lead for Georgia as we move along in that game. Massachusetts has a 7-2 lead over New York. That one in the top of the 7th inning.
As I get this tweet out.
You're allowed to multitask on live television. We're going to have a new arm stepping in for Texas, closing this thing out. Of course, Lucas Naraki, who's already made quite the name for himself in this event, going to be able to do so now as the Lato High School product. 5'11", 180-pounder steps to the plate, steps on the mound, excuse me.
I feel like Condon's up pretty soon here, so it's not going to be easy for him. They may have brought the lefty in because of Condon and a couple of those other guys coming up.
Yeah, Condon mentioned a couple times previously in Miami decommitted, and he was so excited to take part in future games. Remember him telling me, I believe it was MPI, that he was going to be here for future games, that he was no longer on his way to being a Hurricane, and he was reopening his commitment. I know that made the Georgia guys awfully happy to be able to add a guy like that.
Well, especially Ian Smith's done such a great job since he moved up here from Florida. Outstanding
really has,
scout.
Yeah.
He was locked in on Condon from early age, and or from early on. Just this kid barrels. I love his bat speed. Watching him over and over again. He's sending videos throughout the spring, and honestly, he was spot on because that kid is fun to watch.
My favorite thing about Trevor, and he's just a great kid to be around, but the energy. You'll see him when he steps to the plate. He kind of like jumps into the box. He is just an absolute endless motor, and that's, I think, one of the kid who's a running back as well. So it kind of tells you that's yeah.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Yep. Comes that man again, Reeston Durham, who's already got a 3-run home run on the day, is going to step to the plate for Georgia to start things off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. He will indeed be followed by Trevor Condon and then Ashton Roach.
Uh-oh, the lefties, Texas must have known what they were doing.
Yeah, they were actually, funny enough, they were not scheduled, I believe, to have another pitcher. Cole Koninger was supposed to actually close things out for them. They were not actually supposed to be going this direction from a pitching standpoint.
Good pitch, down and in. Reeson got off a really nice swing right there. I mean, this lefty's tough right now, and these guys at 90 miles an hour, but that was a really good swing.
So yeah, Naraki not expected to be on the mound, but they bring him in with a tough part of the lineup for Georgia, and Texas trying to hold on to this 7-6 lead. Jerome jumps out of the way there.
Shoot, I should do the workout day from in here. You can see all the BPs. This is great.
We had all 4 fields going during workout day.
Shame on me for sitting out there in the sun, locking in.
Well, now you know going forward that we can do anything we want to here in studio, providing people with a different look. I hate it in the past when we even think about it that we were only zeroing in on one game when we have so much stuff going on. The whole point of this is to show out as many kids as we can and give these players a platform. So doing as much as we can, that's going to be in for a strike.
Look at that, just ace into the glove side there. That's a good take, good pitch, especially 3-1. Don't want to give up that tying run. This is a big pitch here.
3-2 to Durham. Swings through at 90.8. He's going to take a seat back in the Georgia dugout. So 1 down. Condon has to shake it off and watch the little energies. He's going to jump in here and go through his mechanics. You'll see the little bit of the energy that he makes the bounce as he steps in.
Hey, you know what would be really? Let's see what his third base. Oh, look at him trotting all the way back. I could see Condon dropping one down here.
Yeah, he can absolutely coast. And you look at the speed for him, comes in with a 6.6660.
Ooh.
Oh, he did go. Makes it 0-1.
I don't think he thought so. I didn't think so either.
91-4. The 2nd-ranked outfielder in Georgia, 9th overall in the class. The bat wiggle. Swings through. Make it 0-2. He's frustrated with himself there. Let's see what now Rocky's going to go to. It's got him in the palm of his hand here.
Yeah, he can expand the plate pretty good here. But these lefties are not seeing his fastball at all. I mean, it's coming in really good, but they are getting some whiffs in the zone here.
Condon down the left side to third. He was playing in the exact right spot, but man, that speed shown off, but it was not enough. It was going to be 2 down. And that was some great defensive alignment there. He was exactly where he needed to be.
Yeah, look, you know, I guess I don't have to talk to Goens about that. But I got to talk about Trevor Condon again there. I saw this kid in February. It was about 30 degrees, given hard 90s and nonstop. It's been a long year for him, long summer. I think they're probably starting school this week or next week.
Wednesday, yeah.
And he just gave another hard 90 to close things out. Like, incredible stuff from him.
I saw him hit a 3-run home run in the state championship game playing in the Gwinnett Stripers Stadium. And, man, he told me afterwards he knew the second that hit his bat that it was gone.
Everybody sprinted around the bases,
He
too.
sure did, yep. It all comes down to this for Georgia. Ashton Roach, they're down to their last out, trailing 7-6.
Need a run. Oh, 2-0. This is what keeps college coaches up at night. 2 outs, or up 1 run. All they want you to get this last out and to go 2-0. We'll see how he bounces back.
Would you rather a guy pitch to contact in that situation?
Yeah, especially here with what he's shown, the ability to miss bats, to go 3-0.
Well, Ethan England waiting in the on-deck circle, and then we're to Gino Gorowski, and then it's William Myhan. And William Myhan has been a lot of trouble. We mentioned the success that he's had, drove in a couple runs last night, had a couple on Thursday as well. So if it gets that deep in the order, I think Georgia could be looking at a walk-off win.
Corey, if this was a normal game, I'd probably be taking here 3-0, get a runner on. But I want him going green light and just coming unglued here. Let's see if we can get a fat fastball from the right side. You got some lefties coming up behind you. Let's see if we can get a good pitch and drive it.
Ashton Roach has got a 3-0 count. Nobody on, 2 outs. He puts it in play. Short gathers, throws.
Ooh, safe call.
Safe. Ashton Roach is safe, showing off some speed. So Georgia stays alive, and here comes Ethan England.
And you know what, Corey? This is where you got to make some decisions. Coach Hudson and Coach Ian, this is where they get paid the big bucks. Do they want to put Ashton in motion here, try to get to second base, maybe put the runners in motion, get a little hit and run action with England here, but we'll see.
Ashton Roach, number 7th ranked outfielder in Georgia, 23 overall. Out of Tallulah Falls, sitting on first base. See if he can move a little bit closer and get Georgia that really crucial run.
Good take.
Oh, man, gives him a strike.
That
a little
was
low
a
in the
gift.
zone at 89-4. Count's going to be 1-1.
I can already hear Hudson down there yelling at the umpires because he knows all of them very well.
That's right, yeah.
He was getting on Vern last night late.
It was a 1-1 from Naraki. Throws over to first base. Just keeping him at bay. I believe we saw Roach get thrown out at second base a couple innings ago. Comes the 1-1. Oh, swings through that at 90.7.
The amount of whiffs, and that's something constantly looking for, right? Those in-zone misses, those whiffs he's able to get in the fastball, hitter count. Everybody knows what's coming. He's still able to get something by.
Here's something for you. Now, Rocky has not pitched at all over these 3 days. So for a guy just to kind of come in unexpectedly, meanwhile, as he's able to put a charge in that 91.5 off the bat, taking off. That one's all the way to the wall.
Send him.
Send it all the way from third. He's taken off. Roach is going to be on his way home, and we got a tie ball game in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ethan England coming through.
That England kid. Look at see, right spot, right time. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. My guy out there just giving a real hit, probably in front of a lot of coaches out there from across the Southeast and the rest of the country. Oh, look at all those guys back there.
Well, Ethan England, man, showing out in a big way, and he is able to come through with a monumental hit for Georgia. As the Cherokee Bluff second baseman and shortstop, number 12 shortstop in Georgia, has tied things up in the bottom of the 8th inning, and here comes Gino Gorowski. Gino from Denmark. Talking to Gino's dad a few weeks ago, Gino kind of went through a little bit of a lull at the plate, and his dad just said, just understand you're getting these opportunities to play in these tournaments because you have this skill set, and just, work your way back. And here he is with a chance with Georgia, and now got a runner 90 feet away from a walk-off victory.
And Gino's got to like the first 2 days, the quiet takes like he just had there. I think it's the first breaking ball this kid's thrown. He's still not sped up by it. I'd be really not surprised, but like I think Gino's going to get on this.
Gino, bat speeds of 79.5. He's got 97.3 exit velos. The Denmark 2026 probably spends as much time as many LakePoint employees here at these fields. That's the first strike. Makes it 1-2. I'm not sure Gino agreed with that either.
That was a make it break it pitch right there. That 1-1 count is so vital to both the hitter and the pitcher. And to go to 1-2 really puts the pitcher in control. But Gino's got to lock down a battle for these Georgia guys because runner on second, put the ball in play. Bloop will win it for you.
Now Rocky delivers in the 1-2. That's going to get away from him. Runner's going to take off for third.
I can promise you that the energy down there is
heartbeats are elevated.
Are very elevated, especially talking to some of the coaches who here on day 4 had quite the trio of Red Bull, espresso, and cold brew. So they're definitely those the palpitations are going.
Comes the 2-2 to Goralski, sends that back foul.
Look at that.
Big moment for the Denmark 2026. Got a 2-2 count. Go ahead run at third. Goralski swings through that. He's going to go down on strikes. We're all tied up, and we're going to leave it that way. A 7-7 tie for Texas and Georgia. Man, what a ball game. I was kind of hoping maybe we were going to see some late heroics there from off the bat of Gino Goralski to get the host Georgia squad a victory, but man, they had the way they fought their way back in that. The recent Durham with the 3-run home run and just the late key clutch hits that we saw. Man, that was a heck of a ball game, Shooter.
Great ball game, 2 great teams, talent all over the field. Really excited to see what happens to these guys. But one thing I would suggest they all do: charge their phones up for August 1st.
All right, we are down to our last game in our watch party window here is Massachusetts and New York. 9-2 is the lead for Massachusetts over New York. Just kind of putting the finishing touches on this one as we are in the bottom of the 7th inning in this matchup.
I need to check out my schedule where I'm going next, Corey.
See what we've got on the mound for Massachusetts now. This is still going to be Matt Lanusa. Matt's got 3 strikeouts already in his 2 innings of work. Got 4 RBI. If you're trying to figure out who's going to walk away with that Dick's Sporting Goods Player of the Game and that bling around their neck, Alexander Cantwell has 4 RBIs off his bat off of a grand slam home run as they lead 9-2 in that one.
How do you get your score out there? What is that, some pitch aware?
Yeah, that's the Aware TV that kind of tells you everything going on in the game. So, been a nice addition to us throughout the summer here. This is Sean Munzert at the plate for New York, and he will be followed by Jace Albero and Ryan Morrell.
You know what I love about the New York guys and Jared Carrier, Joe Walton, Dan Savvy do such a great job going all around the state. The rest of the country, right? New York City, but there's so many great regions. I had a great arm from Buffalo yesterday. I was excited to see a real high upside guy who's going to keep blowing up. But their ability to travel around the whole state and represent the entire Empire State is outstanding as they select guys from all over.
Got a 2-0 count. Yeah, I was asking the guys from New Jersey when they're putting together their national rankings if they get the kind of shooter boost on any of the players trying to get them moved up.
No, I actually have to do quite the opposite just to cool things down. The draft was a prime example of that this year. The Jersey ended up having some great draft picks, close to, actually, one is not signed yet, but close to $10 million probably when all things are said and done.
Well, you've been singing the praises of Luke Dickerson for quite a long time, so I know you were obviously in on him.
Yeah, and then Chris Lavonis is a guy who got drafted real early.
Yep.
He's still unsigned. We'll see what happens there. Bryce Message.
Wake Forest or not yet.
But no, definitely no bias. That's why I'm always in close contact with all the Northeast guys. But it's all across the country. The amount our state directors do and scout, they're just locked in on everything. And what's cool about this event is that they get to see other states. and just our scouting department, because we are a scouting company, coming together to bring all of the eyes. They can see what other states have. And compare their own guys, which is a big part of this, especially when you see a game like Texas versus Georgia. Who's better? Those are two marquee states. They want bragging rights. They want to come to the table and say, we're better than you.
Yeah, Rangel told me, he's like, when they put that Texas uniform on, there is certainly a sense of like we're holding it down for everybody in our state, not just the guys that are walking here around the LakePoint Sports campus. So they understand what schools and what states are considered those talent hotbeds, and those guys are kind of holding it to heart when they come down here and get to, band together and represent their state, region, and Canada, country, and come down here and show out.
No, Texas forever. I'm sure Trey Rangel is giving you that. Definitely some pride in that. But what a great game there, 7-7. And I can't get over this quad box because I'm locked in on the BP right now, which is probably where I'll go right when I leave you to watch all these BPs, which is one of the best things we do with this event. They obviously take the workout day, which allows everybody to come out and put on a show so coaches know who to circle, to follow. They're taking their quick notes. But then they'll come back and take BP before a game. Allows a little more of a relaxed atmosphere where the guys can still shine. The coaches can come get a second look.
Daniel Head at the plate right now for New York. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Got a runner at first base, and he'll be followed by Connor Davey. The addition of the senior future games was, I think, has been a topic of conversation with everybody. I know a number of the states felt like they could have put entire teams together themselves. When you were kind of having conversations with coaches as they were coming to this, what seemed to be the reaction of just another crop of players for them to take in?
Coaches are just so excited for all this from both sides. Whether oh geez, sorry, this kid's launching balls. They're likely going onto that curve 10 again. 17. I got to mark that down.
So in the top right corner, you're going to see Caden Dawson along with my intern Grayson Rosen. My son Jack is actually filming one of these extra base interviews that they do. I'm sure they have no idea that they're doing this on live television right now. But Grayson will ask him a few small questions at the beginning, and then they'll go through with some quick hitters as they go from first base to second base. We got a 9-2 lead for Massachusetts over New York.
Nice downer breaking ball. That's something in the Northeast they do really well. I always say it's likely because the fields aren't great and there's so many bad hops that you can't afford to let a ball go and play. So you better discover something that people are going to swing and miss at. So a lot of good breaking balls. Nice downer pitch there.
It's been interesting when I have conversations with the different state directors, and Dan Jurgels are like, "Oh, that's a typical Pacific Northwest arm," and you'll hear guys like talking about this is a guy that kind of embodies what they are as a player. Can you do that when you're thinking about scouting a guy? Can you look at a guy and say, "Oh, that's a New York arm. That's a Florida shortstop"? Do you kind of see those traits in players?
Absolutely. I think it's important to do so, right? Because different parts of the country, they're developmentally at different stages, which is why checking out a Massachusetts, New York team, they're kind of similar climates, kind of similar ball players at this point. Doesn't mean that them versus Florida is that much different, but where they are in their developmental period is different. So it's important to be able to distinguish that. The fact that the Florida kid has had probably close to 1,200 at-bats already versus a kid from New Hampshire who might only be now reaching 120 at-bats for his entire 2024 season. So that's something to take into consideration, just the reps that they'll get and where they can get to, which is why all the coaches are constantly combing the country. Who's going to be that guy that's able to make those jumps? I saw some great Colorado kids this week who I think will make some jumps. They've shown historically the ability to do stuff like that. And all the cold weather states, obviously, they might be a step behind, especially in April, May, June. But by now, they're able to kind of get those at-bats on their belt with these warm weather, coming to LakePoint, getting those national championship looks, NPI. Those are some things I definitely take into account.
A year ago, Danny Wallace leads as MVP. Now, by the way, All-American as well. So really cool story there for a guy to pop at the future games and then a year later find his way to Miami as an All-American. But then Eston Simpson was the most valuable pitcher. Take us inside that process. What's that going to be like for you guys to get together and ultimately decide who's going to be most valuable player and who's going to be most valuable pitcher?
I'll tell you this, it's definitely weighing on my mind right now because it's not super easy because everybody's been really good. And there's some times where a guy like Danny Wallace was just head and shoulders. I don't want to say head and shoulders because Slater DeBrun was real good last year. But this year it's definitely going to be a conglomerate coming together, sourcing, seeing what guys did. I don't know if it will be announced today. I think it will probably be something we go into next week.
Sure.
because guys have been outstanding. But whether Georgia, Texas, Florida, there's been some really good performances out in the Midwest. You head to the West Coast where some guys in the Pacific Northwest, California, Hawaii, all over, there have been some really good performances.
Probably more daunting than in the past because we just talk about the amount of talent that's here for this event. And I know we say it seems like, I'm sure it almost probably has to feel like a broken record if people were to turn in year by year for this, and we're talking about how great the talent is that year. But this one, just because of what happened from the recruiting standpoint, it felt different to begin with. Then everybody gets here and they're like, oh yeah, the hype was worth it.
And I talked to some big name coaches and very famous pitching coaches in general who are talking about this is the best arms they've seen. And I did have to rehash. They said this is the best talent. I did rehash to them. Well, what about the year with Jackson Jobe, Jackson Holiday, James Wood, Jackson Merrill, Chase Petty, Caden Dana, Griffin O'Farrell, Thomas White, Jonathan Santucci. What about that year? They're like, okay, well, we just don't have the history on that yet. But he said, I can tell you every single arm that's gone out here is a guy. There have been no bad ones. And that was really special to hear from a few very prominent pitching coaches who are locked in on all the arms. They said every guy that goes out here is good. And it makes things difficult for guys like me to go around and say, this guy's better than that. Hey, they're all really good.
Yeah.
Circle up. Hopefully they can come to your program. But the coaches who are out there grinding are doing a really good job, and they are reaping the reward of this recruit buffet.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast to watch, and just talking to the kids. You know, everybody was just so excited to be here, and it's such an interesting atmosphere too, because obviously everybody's here. You know, talking to Matt Ponatoski about this from Ohio. This is a guy who's a starting quarterback for Moeller's football team, and I asked him. I said, if for you to be a vocal leader on a football team as the quarterback, when you come into this environment, how much does that kind of play into you, like getting to know guys and kind of banding together very quickly like this to try to go out and you know, be a cohesive unit together? And he said that's huge, because you know, you want to be able to, you want everybody to look good. You know, you want, obviously everyone has their opportunities in the showcase in the environment, but you want everybody to kind of, you know, band together and be a unit that, you know, looks like you can, you know, then it's not a bunch of mercenaries, that everybody's out there kind of playing together. It's a big part of it as well.
And that state pride is definitely there, but the energy brought by our state directors, because kids can come, okay, this was just a showcase, but they build up that energy, and what they're doing in that is trying to elevate the kids' level of play, which is only going to help them.
We are on to the 8th inning, Massachusetts leading 9-3, heading into our last inning of our watch party here. We will be back tomorrow to bring you the Junior Feature Games Platinum Championship game at 3:15. That's going to be can't miss, primarily because the winning team is going to get Oakley sunglasses, and they're going to have a championship belt they're going to be given as well as part of the celebration. So it's going to be fun just to see those kids out there, you know, fighting for something tangible as they leave here at LakePoint Sports as division champions. And we got 2 Wasps in here now. We apparently, word has gotten out about what we've got going on in here, and man,
Corey, that one's Texan
dicey
size right
yeah,
there.
These things are massive. We tried to earlier this summer. We ran into these things, and we're trying to figure out where they were coming from. But man, you never know. We had an osprey running around here for a while. You never know what you're going to get in this part of Metro Atlanta when it comes to the wildlife.
Corey, I'm going to have to leave you here in a second because I need to go watch our Maryland guys take some BP. I missed them on the first day and promised Jamie Neal that I'd be down there.
All right, well, I'm actually going to have Ian Smith. You got a second to come in here and close things out with me over this last half an inning? Rehash some Georgia stuff? All right. Shooter, man, great stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back with our LakePoint, with our Future Games watch party from LakePoint Sports.
Next. Next. Stop.
You got it?
No. Keep going.
Again.
Next. Next.
If you don't pick one.
Oh, you have time. Am I keeping you from your job? Next. I don't even know where I am anymore. Stop.
Do we finally have it?
Let's go back to the beginning.
Are you
Your
joking?
electric future customized. The fully electric Audi Q4 e-tron.
Making every second count. That is how I live. And this is how I hydrate. Body Armor Sport Water. Water for the athlete and all of us.
This is ready to go online. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. How about the best network imaginable? Let's invent that.
That's what we do here.
Quick survey. Who wants their internet to work pretty much everywhere?
And it needs to run smooth, like super smooth.
Hey, should you be drinking that?
It's decaf.
Because we're busy women.
We don't have time for lag or buffering. Who doesn't want internet that helps AI do your homework even faster?
Come again?
Sorry, what was that?
Introducing the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now.
Back here in studio in our Prep Baseball Feature Games watch party, now joined by Ian Smith from Prep Baseball Georgia, fresh off a 7-7 tie with Texas in their final game of action. I say the word tie, but man, that was a ridiculous ball game.
Yeah, we had some fun, man. Caught some barrels late, made a really good. We were down a few runs, scored 5 in the last 2 innings. Really make it a comeback there. Really had a chance to walk it off in the bottom of the 8th. Just couldn't get it done, but. It was a really good showing from the Georgia boys today. Overall, throughout the weekend, we really hit. The pitching stood out. It was a fun weekend for the boys.
AJ Rice was a name when I asked Hudson Graham to give me somebody that you felt like was going to pop at the event.
Yep.
Looked pretty good on the mound against Florida, even if things didn't necessarily go his way. And then at the plate, came through with a big RBI, 2-run double when you guys needed it.
Huge barrel. Last night, like you mentioned, on the mound, spinning up to 3,000, up to 92 on the mound. I mean, on 92 with the fastball, really filled up the zone, ripped off some really nasty sliders at 78, 80. And there's a lot to like on the mound. It's a really whippy arm. He knows how to pitch. He walks up there with a plan. And like you mentioned today at the plate, he had a big double. Ethan England, another one today, who had a really good game for us, caught 2 good barrels, 95 with the bat both times. It was great to see some guys really have some big moments here in day 3. Excuse me.
Shooter Hunt brought up William Myhand, and he's like, I remember him at Smart Tents, but man, he's just really hit every day throughout the tournament, throughout the event. He drove in 2 on Thursday, drove in 2 more on 2 hits on Friday. The Mill Creek 2026 was ready for this.
Absolutely, and then talking about BP as well, some of the easiest power we saw throughout the weekend. The ball was jumping off the back to the pull side. He launched the balls deep into the trees through the showing. He has an approach up there, like I just mentioned with with AJ as well, but the bat to ball is impressive. He stays on plane through the zone. He knows how to find his pitch. He can match planes at the bottom of the zone, at the top of the zone. He knows how to manipulate the barrels, as some would say, and it was really good from Will. And I think it's going to be a fun week for him as we get to recruiting here on August 1st.
Carson and Dominic, 3 strikeouts on Thursday. I had him in here on Wednesday during the workout day. He just seemed so low-key about everything. Like just the heart rate was not elevated whatsoever with him. I saw him before Thursday kind of talking to his dad off to the side. I honestly forgot that he was even pitching on Thursday because he just did not seem like he was it seemed completely unaffected by everything.
One emotion at all times. He's always ready, but he's also always locked in. So he came out there, showed really well, showed 3 pitches, was at the 92 as well. His best friend's Matthew Sharman, so that's huge. These top 2 guys could be the top 2 arms in the 2026 class. And it was a really good show. I mean, he had a lot of love from a lot of colleges. A lot of guys asked about Carson this week. So it was great for him to get out here and prove himself on a huge stage like this.
Wyatt Bull, 5 strikeouts on Friday night. If anybody was unfamiliar, North Oconee has been a dynasty.
Yes.
If anybody was unfamiliar with that arm in terms of coaches within the state, 18th ranked righty in the class, 139 overall. 91 on the fastball. I think he's got his name circled by a number of coaches.
Absolutely, and it's only taking up from here. He's going to throw harder. The curveball is really good right now. He can land it early in counts. He can land it late for swing and miss. He can live off the changeup when he wants to. He can fill up the zone with the fastball as well. A guy who's also about 6'3", 205, going to fill up the frame. So this all the projection, checking all the boxes that you would want to see as a D1 pitcher.
We always talk about big names living up for big moments. Keon Johnson comes in having to shoulder being the #1 player in Georgia, and he's had to shoulder that for quite some time now. No disappointment whatsoever with a guy that just, man, he was ready for this without question.
I don't think I've ever seen a kid so fired up to see 90-plus pitching every time he went up to bat. If the best arm was up, he wanted to hit. He was looking to see the best pitching, and he did damage. The swing he had last night, going 95, 355 to backside for a home run, and through the night was one of the more impressive swings we've seen all week from him. He had a triple off the batter's eye day 1, and just took good approaches. Went 3 for 6 on the week, hit 500. He almost hit for the cycle throughout the week, and just showed up, looked the part, had a really good infield, ran well, great BP. There was really no holes for Keon throughout the week.
You and I talked before we came on. Trevor Condon, a kid that you and I have both been around many times.
Yep.
Doubles, triples, has 2 RBIs on Friday. he was I talking to him back at NPI when he told me that he was going to be here. He was so excited to get the opportunity to be here, and I think to see that be met with the kind of performance that he has, man, that's got to get you excited.
He's the epitome of a gamer. I mean, Shooter had a post yesterday where he called him a gamer, and that's all he does. All he does is hit. It's 100% energy every time he steps on the field. He's going to be the leader of the team. He's going to have everybody fired up, and to come out here and have that kind of performance after I've been as high as anybody probably in the country on him in the last 6 months, and to perform on a stage like this, perform in the state championship, perform in the spring, it's been huge for Trevor, huge in the summer as well, and I think this next coming week with August 1st coming out, it's going to be a really important time for him.
Against Florida, Diego Becerra gets tagged. I mean, not kind of a forgettable night for him. I mean, obviously he ends up giving up the grand slam. When this is obviously an extremely high-level arm.
Yeah.
What do you guys say to him in an environment like that? You know, when you know what he's capable of, but then he's running into just a little bit of trouble I mean, obviously late night. Some things kind of just don't go his way. But what are those conversations like?
I mean, you just got to go out there and pitch. He was getting squeezed a little bit, missing the zone. You got to reset and find your zone. We know what Diego can do is either to the best of it's 89, 92. He's going to fill it up with a curveball as well. So you just got to really just make sure you get the kid back focused, back into that reset mode. You gave up the grand slam. That's reset. Excuse me. One moment and you reset.
Who are we not talking about from Georgia the last few days so far that you feel like, what, it was either BP, the workout day, maybe something in game that didn't show up in the box score that you think really got people's attention?
I mean, I think Malachi Washington, I know we've talked about it before, but I don't think there's a hole in there. I think it's a chance for a five-tool player right there. He runs well, he hits, he hit in game, he showed up in BP, he had the second highest vertical jump on the jump mat as well, 39 inches, and he said it in the dugout, I really wasn't even trying. So, that's just the type of type of athlete he is. He hit well this week. He made some really good plays in the outfield as well, and I think there's a guy who college is going to look at and just be like, this is a plug-and-play guy who we can bring in right now and be that type of impact player.
And you think about being unaffected by the environment, a guy that plays for Parkview High School, a guy who's been around forever, playing for East Cobb Astros for a while as well. So this is a guy that's, he kind of understands everything that comes with this. I'm sure when he stepped in there and saw, all the scouts and stuff, it was like, all right, well, let's just go play baseball.
Absolutely, man. We're just going to hit. Jack Richardson, another great showing from him this week. Had a couple nice barrels, 100 off the bat for 2 RBIs day one. Really came through, brought us back in the game, almost won it for us. So I think he was a guy who's really stepped up this week, imposing 6'4", 200 pounds. The frame stands out. You see him walking around the complex, and that's the first thing coaches are seeing. It's a high waist. Just looks the part. As we talk about that a lot, and I think it was a good showing from Jack this weekend.
I talked to Martin Scheller during Wednesday when he was checking in, and he already had the eye black going. And I told him that you told me that was the guy that was going to be the most swagged out on anybody in the
dripped
lineup.
Up at all times.
He said I absolutely will be. But I watched him in BP on Thursday, and there was extreme violence in that bat.
Yep.
Man, Maris is going to be a tough out, number one in 2025, but I thought the 2021 junior feature gamer really held his own and looked really good across these few days.
I don't believe there's a player in the 26 class with more tools than Shelar. Like, he fills it up in every aspect. It's the loudest BP usually. He's going to run well. It's 93 from the outfield. It's a great frame. It's 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds. I think the most impressive at-bat I saw from Martin last night was a 2-2 count. Stayed simple, went through the left hole, 97 off the bat for an RBI. Didn't try to do too much, didn't try to swing for the fences. He knows he can put it over the fence anytime he wants. You mentioned violence. The thing I talk about with Martin all the time is controlled violence. Every time you see it in the box, he's working from the ground up, using every part of his approach, and it's impressive to see.
Well, it's extreme lightning in that at-bat, and we now see Mike Salucci handing out the player of the game there in the Massachusetts and New York matchup. Let's see who we got taking the bling there for Massachusetts. I believe we got number 13, Anthony Marsko. That's for New York. It's number 13 is Alexander Cantwell, who ended up in a grand slam in this game. So he absolutely earned the bling in this one. He's the Dick's Sporting Goods player of the game in that matchup. 9-3 win for Massachusetts over New York. And again, Georgia and Texas tie up at 7-7. Kansas were 9-0 winners over Wisconsin as we brought you the last of our Prep Future Games watch party. Ian, man, thank you so much for joining us.
You've been key. Glad to have you.
You've been key all summer long for us on these broadcasts.
Glad to be here, Corey.
Hopefully we'll be able to get back at it when we roll to the fall schedule. We are going to take a break here in studio and wrap things up from our Future Games watch party. Awesome.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
Welcome back. This is the end of our Feature Games watch party for Saturday's broadcast, but don't go anywhere, at least not today anyway, because Sunday we've got you taken care of for the Junior Feature Games Platinum Division Championship. We'll be joining you at 3:15 as we bring you that conclusion to the Junior Feature Games. That will do it, though, for our Future Games coverage. But make sure you step in for this one because, man, these guys are going to be going at it for a championship. The winner's going to get Oakley sunglasses, and there will be a championship belt handed out as well. We come back in studio and sign things off for our Future Games watch party. I appreciate everybody sticking around. We had some absolutely fantastic games. Hope you enjoyed the conversations that we had throughout today's broadcast. Again, make sure you join us tomorrow for that Junior Future Games Championship. We'll be on air right around the 3:15 window, so you will be able to find that for free on Facebook, X, and YouTube. So until then, this is Cory McCartney, and for producer Mason Monroe in the back, we appreciate you joining us, and we're signing off from LakePoint Sports.